It's 9:04 and time to begin. Is everybody ready to go up here? How about the left wing? Y'all ready? Right wing, y'all ready? Let's get this started. I'm looking for James Miller. Come up, sir, and let's do the invocation to get this started.
Thank you.
Good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Come on around here and
Around there.
let's get this going with prayer.
You want me to talk this direction?
Talk toward that microphone.
All right, let's do. Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for allowing me to come and invoke the Lord's blessings on these moments. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Lord Jesus, we acknowledge that you are our Savior and only sovereign. We confess that no government, especially one that usurps your power or authority, has the right to exist because, in fact, you are Lord, and it's from you that we derive all power and all authority. Lord, it's my prayer that everything we say or do this day brings honor and glory to you and brings joy to your heart. Lord Jesus, today I solicit your presence and your blessing upon the deliberations of our City Council. We ask you to remind us that our elected officials represent us and are entrusted with the task of preserving your time-honored values and our way of life. And so I pray that their decisions will be guided by the will of the people and conformed to the purpose of God. Lord, empower each council member to be courageous in his or her opposition to evil and sensitive, yet to the still small voice of the Holy Spirit. Lord, I pray that you'd enable them to stand for truth and right, unmoved like mountains in a storm. And by so doing, may they find favor with you. We humbly ask your grace and forbearance in the name of our precious Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Appreciate it very much. And now it is my privilege to bring forward the Trinity Girl Scouts from Trinity Lutheran Church, troop number 5039. Their troop leader is Deborah Arledge, and they will be helping us with the pledge this morning. If each one of you girls would come up and tell your name and what grade you're in, then after you introduce yourself, we will say the pledge. Start with you.
I am Savannah Rosani, and I am in 6th grade.
I am Marie Crenshaw, and I am 6th grade.
I am Jade Smith, and I'm in 5th grade.
I'm Melissa Barrera, and I'm in 5th grade.
Hi, I'm Esther White, and I'm in 7th grade.
Hi, I'm Oakley Arledge. I'm in 5th grade.
I'm Haley Beckwith, and I'm in 4th grade.
Has that got us all? All right, we will now say the pledge to the American flag. If you girls would get us started, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now to Texas.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you so much. Here, let me give y'all some pens. Each one of you get a city pen. Oh, good. I like cookies. Huh? Did everybody get a pen? Did you get a pen? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, girls. Come see us again. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Sure. Thank you.
And I got a box of cookies out of this deal, too. This ain't all bad. Thank you very much, girls. We very much appreciate you. We have a couple of recognitions this morning. We have the Miles Bulldogs. We're recognizing them in some athletic things that they did and really did surpass all the rest. However, Miles can't be here until 9:30. So we're going to break at 9:30 when the Miles baseball team gets here, and we'll recognize them. So we'll move on to the United Way campaign. where we recognize the contributions that our city employees made to the United Way. I'm going to read a part of this. This is a press release that's going out. I'm going to hit just a few of the high spots on it and then introduce these guys that were in charge of them. But let me read this. It's for the second time ever, the City of San Angelo's United Way campaign raised more than $100,000 for local nonprofit agencies. The city employee campaign raised $103,560, which is just less than the $104 that was raised in 2009. That had 28 more employees back then than we do today. 959 full-time employees, approximately 45%, making pledge contributions to the United Way. Angelica Pena, co-chair, said most of our donors are not highly paid employees, yet they feel compelled to give what they can because of the needs within our community. That speaks volumes to the character of our workforce. Stephen McAfee, the fellow co-chair, the city auditor, added, everyone who works for the city is a public servant. Those who give to the United Way campaign view their contribution as an extension of the public service they quietly render every day. This is yet another reason to take pride in being an employee of the city of San Angelo. Now I got speeches from both of y'all, I expect. Come forward, please, Angelica.
Serving as a loan executive of the United Way was an exciting experience for Steve and I. We learned so much about not only what the United Way does, but also all the participants that they serve. It's a great organization. One of the best things about it was learning how giving and all of the employees that we work with really on the low end, you see how much they contribute. So we were very, very humbled by that. So it was a great experience. We enjoyed it.
Thank you.
I will echo what Angelica said, and to be honest with you, this recognition really should go to the 430 employees that gave to this campaign. It was enlightening to see a lot of these employees. It was a great experience, and we appreciate all their participation in this.
Thank you. Thank you.
After they do the dance.
Thank you. And we do have one more recognition, but we're waiting for the Miles baseball team, so we'll go ahead and continue with our meeting until they get here.
Your cookies. If you leave them, they're fair game.
We have had a few changes on our agenda, and let's go ahead and get these out of the way first, and then we'll go to our public comment. Number 5 on the consent agenda has been pulled. Staff has pulled it. This is about the San Angelo underwater football. So number 5 on the consent agenda has been pulled. Number 9 on the regular agenda, which is the Downtown San Angelo quarterly report, has also been postponed until the 4th day of March. Brenda was unable to be here, so we will pull that one. I spoke with Bill Wynn in the hall a while ago. He has the zone change number 10 and also the firearms range permit number 11, and Mr. Wynn has asked that we pull these as well. So we will be pulling 9 and 10 in the regular agenda. Number 17B, Mr. Wardlaw has a few things that he's not comfortable with on number B. When we get to that, then he can talk to it, and we will, as a council, make the decision if we want to continue or what we want to do. So there will be a little change on 17B. Another one we have is number 18, and this is on the riverboat. Wayne Nichols is here today to present his side. The other man has asked that we wait until 1 o'clock. However, I think that there are there people in the audience that are here for the riverboat, for the cruise, that wish to speak either for or against it? I know that Mr. Nichols has an appointment this afternoon, and 1 o'clock he may not be able to be here at 1, and of course we want him here. So what we'll do on this one, we're going to go through our agenda. We'll see how we run. If we get to this at 11 or so, then we may need to push this to another meeting so that everybody has a fair hearing. Is that all right, gentlemen? Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Just a point of clarification, you talked about Bill Wynn removing an item from the agenda.
Yes.
Did he have 2 items on the agenda?
He did.
11 also.
11 and
11 needs to be removed.
I'm sorry, it was 10 and 11.
Correct.
Both of those
Both of those have been removed.
23's moved up.
Pardon me?
23 are moving up.
There was also a suggestion from Charlotte that we pull 23 up because we have some people that need to make a plane. Do I have any trouble with that from the council? Does anyone mind? You want to take it next, Charlotte? You want to take it first in the regular agenda?
Be fine.
Is that all right with you? Does council have any problem with pulling number 23 and putting it first on the regular agenda so the people can catch a plane? Any problem down here, Don, Winky? No. Okay. Rodney, Marty, Johnny, y'all okay with it? Okay, we will be pulling 23 up to the front of the regular agenda. Now, let's do the legals here so we can have public comment. The council takes public comment on all items on the regular agenda. Public input on a regular agenda item will be taken at its appropriate discussion. Public input on an item not on the agenda or consent agenda may be identified and requested for consideration of the council at this time. The council may request an item to be placed on a future agenda or for a consent agenda item to be moved to the regular agenda for public comment. On public hearing items, public input will be received on each item immediately following the council discussion and prior to any action on the item. Each member of the public shall make the remarks from the podium and begin by stating their name. Remarks by each citizen will be limited to 3 to 5 minutes. Unless waived by a council member for all speaking on that matter, no individual will be allowed to speak more than once on any one subject until every citizen wishing to comment has done so. Do I have anyone? We'll take the public first. If you have anything that you wish to approach the council about that is not on the agenda, or if there's something on the consent agenda that you would like to move to the regular agenda, this is your opportunity. So come get us. For or against, we're ready. Come ahead, sir. Come to the microphone, please, sir. And I'll ask you to state your name, and then you have the floor, sir.
Well, my name is William Reese, and I don't have a copy of the agenda. This is my first time here, so I can come back again next time as well. What I have a concern about is our water policy here in San Angelo, and so I wanted to speak to that. I'll be glad to come back after I've put that on the agenda for next time.
You got 3 to 5 minutes if you'd like to tell us
Well,
what
good.
you've got, sir.
You know, there's a lot of talk about tanker trucks filling up at fire hydrants and all that, and some of that can be myth and some of it can be true. The bottom line is this: in 2.5 months, we're going to hit stage 3. And I don't know if we have a policy yet for hitting stage 3 with regard to construction, legitimate construction use of water, or also just people stealing it. As far as people stealing our water, what I think is this: everybody knows you don't mess with Texas. But I get the idea that everybody doesn't know you really don't mess with San Angelo. So what I was going to say was that I would like to give some consideration to an idea where if a citizen sees somebody stealing water, or, you know, they're just there may be a legitimate hookup of water, if they call the police and the police check it out, its date's time stamped as when they called. If you're the first one that calls, you get a $100 reward. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to find whoever's stealing our water $1,000 that's driving the truck, impound the truck, and whoever's working, whoever owns the truck as far as the company, they pay $10,000. So that's about all I got to say, but I just want to say I don't think it's right for anybody stealing our water. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your comment. We will take this under consideration. I imagine Rodney Fleming will agree with you 100%.
I saw him grinning.
I did a little background research. He's my representative as well. So.
And Mr. Fleming is he's very involved, and he does have an opinion about our water situation, and I agree. And I don't see anything wrong with that. And we'll be going to drought stage 3, and I'd like to see it next week, but it will probably be another couple of months. And that's something we can consider, and if we can get 4 votes up here, we'll make an ordinance out of it. Appreciate you, sir, very much. Anyone else wish to approach the council? Anything else needs to be talked about? This is your opportunity. Come forward, please, ma'am. If you would, please state your name, and you've got 3 to 5 minutes of the floor.
All right. Hi, my name is Megan Allgaier. I've been a Girl Scout since about 1st grade, and I still currently am. I've been working on my Gold Award project so far, and my goal is to make a dog park in San Angelo. I've been wanting to do this since I was little. I've gone to Austin, and I've seen theirs, and it just made me like, I've just been wanting to do this since I was little. All right.
Let me help her out here, if I may, Mr. Mayor. Megan called me about 3 or 4 weeks ago and stressed her desire in working on a badge, and I asked her to come to public comment and speak. And then I would be more than happy to suggest to council that we work with this Girl Scout, and I've got her introduced to Carl, and give her the next month and maybe the first meeting in April, if we could put the discussion on the agenda, if that's all right with council.
May I add something also?
Mhm.
Megan, I was in Round Rock this weekend visiting my son. We went over to the dog park, and as we left the park, I called Carl White, and I took pictures, and I said, it was so neat. It was so relaxing. I don't even own a dog, but I sat in there and watched those hundreds of dogs run around and play like little kids. So I instantly, when we left, I called Carl and said, we've got to get us a dog park. So I'm 100% with you on the idea, and Ms. Farmer, and let's move the idea along. And I think it'd be beneficial to all the dog owners out there in the city. So,
and it is an item that we do have listed on our CIP, as a matter of fact, yes. So
good.
We'll just have to discuss as far as prioritizing that.
Okay. All right. Thank you all for your time.
I congratulate you. You did your homework. You did it well. You got everything lined up. You've got Charlotte and Carl on board. Very good.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to approach the council? This is your last opportunity. Let's move on then to the council. Is there anyone on the council that has anything that they need to state, any statements? Is there anything that needs to be moved? It is your opportunity. Mr. Silvers?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I've had a couple of phone calls. The intersection of Twig and Randolph, the old Harry's food store for Shane Kelton or somebody out there, I know that I've witnessed at least 2 wrecks at that intersection. And I know there's been numerous, so I don't know if we need bigger stop signs there or what, but a lot of folks haven't figured out that there's just a stop sign on the north and south end of it. But I think that's something we need to look at. Also, I did get a call from a constituent on the downtown library and how the folks, and I don't know what we do legally, honestly, because some of those folks loitering out there, I think Larry Justice finally decided to move the tables because it gotten so bad. In fact, it got so bad that some of those folks hanging out there broke into the Twig Tower, whatever you call that building, and were living there, and they found out about a month or 2 later that they had been doing that. So I don't know legally what we can do. They need help. The library downtown needs help, and so I wanted to throw that in. And just like I brought up the bush out there as you exit the Target parking lot, I got another call about a bush, and I believe it's on First and Cohenheim. Is catty corner from the fire department. What is that little restaurant that's there? I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, there's a real, and I hate to say this, a real beautiful Texas sage growing, but it's right on the corner, and I witnessed it myself where that's an accident waiting to happen. So I just thought I'd throw that out there and let the people know that, hey, that we are listening to them and to their concerns, and wanted to share that with you guys.
And I bet Shane heard you. Anyone else from the council have any comments to make? Well, I have one. And Charlotte and I went to the NAACP meeting, or the banquet, last Saturday night, and there's no charge for this, but I want to compliment the committee to put that together. That was as well organized a banquet as I've ever been to, and it was very entertaining. It was enjoyable, and you agree with me, Charlotte?
Speaker was awesome.
An excellent speaker. That was an excellent banquet. It was very enjoyable. But Charlotte and I were talking there, and we talked about the length of these meetings. Now, we used to be out of here by lunch, and then we got to go until 3 or 4 or 5 o'clock. The last couple of meetings, we've been out of here by 1. Now, Winky Wardlaw on the right arm down here, when it gets to be 2 o'clock, he gets to fidgeting around, and he starts moving that we get out of here. And I've always seconded every motion he made. But I've asked Charlotte, when it gets to be 1 o'clock, that I'd like to hear a motion to adjourn these meetings, because 4 hours is enough. So I throw that out. I want to hear everything. We want to be given very concise. We want to be given very precise presentations. But if you can say it in 5 minutes, you don't need to take 10. So anyway, that's my goal. Do I have any support on the council that we try and end these things at 1 o'clock?
3 minutes is even better. All we ask is not repetitiveness, so we can get staff back to work.
Charlotte and I agreed on that, and I'm so old I can't hardly sit longer than 5 hours anyway, so.
And
Mr.
one,
Whitlock.
and one other point is, if we're furnished the information in our packet and on our desk, we don't need somebody to read the PowerPoint presentation back to us again.
Exactly,
You're-
exactly.
You're absolutely right, and that was my next statement that I was going to make, is that every member on this council reads these packets. So we understand the background when we get here. We know, we do our homework. So that's my request, and I'm depending on you, Charlotte. And if Charlotte misses, and I'm waiting on Wardlaw, so.
He's saying I talk too much. Just kidding.
But cut you down to 3 minutes as well. That's all I've got. If there's no other public comment from the public or from the council, then we can move on to the consent agenda. And we realize that number 5 has been pulled. If there is no further discussion on the consent, I will accept a motion to accept it, or
Move for approval of consent agenda with the exception of number 5 as presented.
do I have a second? Second. Okay, we do have a motion and we do have a second to accept the consent agenda. That will be items 1 through item 7, with the exception of number 5, which has been postponed and will be taken up later. Do I have any further council discussion on this item? Do I have any public comment on the consent agenda? If not, I'm going to call for the motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Put a 7-0 on that one, please, ma'am. Moving on now to the public hearing and comment, and I think we decided we were going to move, which one did you want, Charlotte?
23.
23. Let's move 23 up, and that's where we will start. That will be discussion and consideration of adopting a resolution in support of the proposed Grand Court residences, providing an effective date. And I will take off on this one, please, ma'am.
It is in my district. It is out west of town at the Loop, Sherwood Way, and Grand Court Boulevard. And I know there may be some who recall that I opposed an apartment complex fairly close in my district, but the one that I opposed was by citizen request and petition, and it was directly across the street from a school and more congested area. This particular item is a affordable housing, and it has been brought to my attention that out in the southwest part of town, where rental rates have way in excess of $1,500, that our people who live here, work and work at Lowe's and Chick-fil-A's and the Stripes and the Walmarts, and a lot of these folks have to depend on bus service to get to and from work. And there is not an affordable housing project at this time out in my district. And to me, it is a welcome addition. I've looked at the plans and the specs of the property. It's an 80-unit property, and I would like for council to hear from the developer on this and see what we can do to bring some affordable housing in the southwest portion of town.
Thank you. Who's here to speak for this? Come ahead, please, sir. I ask you to state your name, and you've got 3 to 5.
You got it. Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank the council and the mayor, of course, for inviting us up on a Tuesday morning from Odessa. Jay Mullen with Lone Star Housing Group. I'm out of Dallas.
Let me interject here. There are some people on the council that know that my mother is a Milam, and Jay and I have discussed this, and to our knowledge, to my knowledge, we are no relation, and I received nothing from this project. I wanted to establish that right up front.
Y'all need DNA?
You approved this presentation?
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, anyhow, and then, of course, John Schrader is the architect in design on the San Angelo job. We do have a little 8-acre tract that's under contract from the Duncan family, just off of Sherwood and Grand Court there in San Angelo. It's a fabulous site, and that is truly our target goal is exactly what Councilperson Farmer said. It would be the Walmart, the Sam's, the new hotels going in. And it's our resident is that $10, $12, $14, $15 an hour employee. That's who our target is on this deal. It's what we got envisioned is a 2-story, no open stairwells or anything, more of a flat design. Swimming pool, clubhouse, all the basic amenities that you normally see in and affordable type development. Limited access, weight room, business center and such inside the leasing clubhouse. We think it's a fabulous area. Region 12 is a little tough this year. The competition is really, really strong. There's, I think, don't quote me on this, but I believe there's close to 300 applications through the TDHCA affordable program. Region 12, Bend, Midland, Odessa, San Angelo, of course, I believe there's 7. Which is probably double and then some what was here last year. We're blessed as in Lone Star Housing because I'm in the first and second position. First position being here in San Angelo, which would love to be successful naturally. Second position being in Odessa, which is my home. Third position, of course, is the other applicant that has already presented their development. So it's our desire, first and foremost, and I'm probably going to get thrown darts at from my hometown, but it's our desire to be successful here in San Angelo. There's a huge pent-up demand in Midland, Odessa. This is a one-shot deal for us in San Angelo. We can always go back there next year. I hate to say that because there's just a little bit of this pie that goes around all 3 communities, but that's just the gist of it. So we're here to ask for your support, your council resolution support, and then of course we'll chase all the additional scoring mechanisms after this meeting. So, and I'd like, if I could, just a brief, John Schrader has built this design multiple times.
John Schrader with JHP Architecture and Urban Design out of Dallas, Texas. And we don't have the PowerPoint, or I guess just to keep with brevity, if that's what your goal is. The product we're looking at is what we call stack flats and individual entries. So each unit has its own front door and its own front porch. So there is no kind of breezeway or gathering spot for people to just kind of hang out. You're either in your unit or you're out of your unit. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and skip to, this is the location. So it comes off of Summercrest Drive and the Grand Parkway, or yes. This is the site plan. So you come in, you have your main entry where your community building is going to be. You have parking for the community building, and then behind it is where you have your swimming pool, your deck, umbrellas, barbecue pits, those kind of things. Then you have units that are overlooking the amenity swimming pool area. Then what we did was we created a green boulevard with a park in the middle of the project. And then in the back, what we're looking at is a playground because we are looking at a combination of some families in this. There's going to be a combination of 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms. 12 1-bedrooms, 44 2-bedrooms, and 24 3-bedrooms for a total of 80 units. We're looking at the leasing office to be a community building leasing office, approximately 3,500 to 4,000 square feet. Like I said, the unit plans are designed to where they stack on top of each other, so we get our efficiencies of structure and plumbing, but they each have their own individual entry. And you can see from the image here is 1 unit, you enter and you go directly upstairs and you're inside your own stairway, and then the other unit enters on grade on the first floor. So they all have their own front porch and their own front door. And these are examples of the 1, 2, and 3 bedroom. This is the look of the project, and what we thought it was very sympathetic to kind of the San Angelo architecture of being somewhat of a prairie. Texas prairie is kind of the look that we're going with. And you can see each unit has its own individual entry, front porch. It also has an individual balcony and outdoor storage. Because a lot of time one of the problems is a lot of junk on the balcony, but there is an outdoor storage area on the balcony so people will keep their stuff off the balconies. This is the product type that we've built before, and we've built it in affordable mixed income projects, and that's what all of these are showing. I want to make sure that y'all know that these are other affordable projects. It's not like I'm showing you market rate stuff and then we're building something else, but these are all affordable projects. My firm actually specializes in affordable housing. We do projects all the way from the Carolinas. We did a lot of rebuilding after Katrina in New Orleans. We do work in Texas and Arizona and really all across the nation.
And this is, what we are authorizing is a resolution to help you get everything else done to get this.
Sir.
Rodney, do you have anything to say about that grass in the green area?
I'd like as little grass as possible if you can get that. Do some natural landscaping where we won't have to do a lot of watering.
Okay.
That would help out a whole lot.
Yeah,
but this project, I'm on board with 100%. We need more of these projects coming into town because we have a large class of people that are really underserved in the city. So I think this is an awesome project. I looked through this last week and I'm on board.
I'm satisfied with it. Thank you. Someone want to move that we approve this resolution? Johnny?
I have a no,
yes, sir.
I just need to go back to the location because I'm sorry, but I hadn't figured out where.
You know where Grogan's is?
Grogan's.
The feed store?
The feed store?
Mm-hmm.
It's right behind it.
Right behind
that.
Right behind the rolled hay.
Up on the hill. You go up
right
behind the hill.
Move for the motion to approve resolution.
I'll second.
We do have an approval on this, or a motion to approve. Do I have any further comment from council? Do I have any comment from the public on this? Yes, sir.
Council, Bob Solis, the Director of Neighborhood and Family Services. I do want to remind the council that we did approve a resolution of support for a Fort Concho project in a neighborhood target for revitalization. If this gets approved with a resolution, it will hurt the Fort Concho as far as points go. So just be aware of that. It may put it at a risk. So I just wanted the council to know that. And an option would be a resolution of no objection, for example, which would hurt the Fort Concho project a little bit less than a full support. So,
thank you, Bob.
If council will recall, I asked Mr. Solis at our last meeting if there were others to come forward. We can approve these. That's fine. You can approve as many. I would rather have 2 chances out of the 7 than only 1 chance out of the 7 to get a much needed affordable project in San Angelo.
So you are saying you're not going to amend your motion?
No.
Okay. And are you amending your second?
No,
okay.
And I like the area also. I think that we need different areas of low income housing.
Different demographics. Anybody else from the public have a comment? Come ahead, sir. State your name. You've got 3 to 5, sir.
Good morning, council. My name's James Duncan. I'll say right off the bat, I'm a stakeholder in this. I'm a partner in the entity that owns and is selling the land to Mr. Milam's Lone Star Housing Group. More importantly to me, though, is consider myself a lifelong San Angelo, and my home has been here. I was raised here, grew up here. I live in Austin now. I'm a real estate developer that focuses mostly on residential development. So this is not exactly my forte, but I will say that I've had numerous discussions with developers in the same business as Jay. I've had many discussions with engineers that work for me that have worked with similar developments. And first and foremost, I want to say that, my family, myself, my brother, my father, my grandfather, we've had numerous investments and built and developed in San Angelo since I was a kid, and I care deeply about San Angelo. And I was in town last week. Like I said, we've had many past investments, and I'm looking at continued investments and in the future. And I was having a discussion with a builder and developer that is not as active as he used to be. And we were talking about this, and he said, well, I wonder which project the council will support. When I left and got to thinking about that, I decided that maybe I should come and talk, because I just want to encourage the city. From my point of view, the city should be looking to support San Angelo and promote San Angelo, and this is a desperately needed thing for San Angelo. Just last night's news, there was a story about there was a higher percentage of homeless people in San Angelo than much larger cities in our part of the state. And I would like to encourage you to look at it like the winners and losers here, with no disrespect intended, is San Angelo the winner, or is Midland or Odessa or some other competing city? Because if you had 3 other projects before you, say you had one at Nasworthy Mathis Field, you had one in downtown, and you had one northeast or east side, I don't think this is the right forum to say we have a preference for supporting one project over the other. I'd rather see you support San Angelo in hopes that one of these projects will garner the support of the state at the expense of Midland or Odessa, and then let them worry about coming back and succeeding in future years, not San Angelo having to get beat this time and then come back again and try again on another date. And at the risk of sounding, because I'm a stakeholder, I know this may not seem genuine, but I sincerely mean it with all genuineness. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further comment on this? For or against? This is your opportunity. If not, I suppose, Johnny.
I do have a quick question, and I am totally okay with this project. I have no objection. Now that Bob Salas brought that up, the last thing I want to do is hurt the other project. But what are you talking about, the resolution with no objection? I've never heard of that, so explain to me what that means.
I talked to the director over there at PDHCA, and I explained we had 2 competing very worthy projects. And by the way, we do support affordable housing anywhere in the city. But first and foremost, we look at revitalization of some neighborhoods. He mentioned that if there is a vehicle called a resolution of no objection, it provides the project to continue competing without hurting the other one as much. Because really, they do take that in consideration, what council decides, who they support. They have my druthers, I can both, obviously, because it is affordable housing, and that's what we're in the business of. Mm-hmm. So I'm just afraid it's going to hurt the Fort Concho project to a point where it will be non-competitive. But I don't know, to be honest with you.
So again, we have a motion, but I'm still not clear on how do we do that? How do we?
Well, what you would do, you would obviously
we'd have to change the motion. We'd have
change
to
the motion to
and Charlotte and Rodney are not willing to do so. So we need to take a vote on what is on the floor. If it does not pass, then we can amend the motion and start over.
I'm not willing to amend because I want both projects looked at equally at a state level, and that we as San Angelo support wholly both projects, since the decision is not ours to make as to who gets what. We support both equally.
And I guess it would be the same thing if these guys came first and then we came up.
Same thing.
It'd be
Well, of course, we as a staff, we prefer, since we're trying to revitalize neighborhoods, we prefer to focus in those areas, and that's why we do it. Not because that project is not viable. It's a very viable project. You look at those architecture is beautiful. It's great. So that's what we look for. So that's what we try to encourage our developers to go into those neighborhoods because of that. So it does, you get a little bit more bang for the buck. You get affordable housing, and then you get you get a bit of a neighborhood revitalization as well. So that's why we want to put our money in those areas. It's a tough decision for council. It's a tough decision for the city because it is a very good project actually. So.
The motion has been made, so we need to handle this before we try changing it. Any other public comment? If not, I'm going to call for the vote. All of those in favor of accepting and writing the resolution in support of as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay.
I'm going to say nay because I still have concerns. I'm with it. I'm with this project, but my concern is hurting the other one. So
put a 6-1 on that.
No
one,
disrespect
please,
to you guys.
It did pass. And now I see a bunch of bulldogs in the back, so we're going to do some public recognition before we move on.
Nathan.
And if all you Bulldogs would make your way to the front of the room up here with me.
Yeah, we do. I don't.
Well, that's a competent-looking bunch of hombres there. Good morning, gentlemen. Coach, one of y'all want to let me read this, and I'll have one of you coaches come up and introduce these boys and tell them what all they've done. I'm glad you brought your plaque with you. San Angelo Recreation Division is pleased to announce the Miles Bulldogs as the 2013 Texas Amateur Athletic Federation Youth 8 category U8 state champions. Wow. The Miles Bulldogs played in the San Angelo Recreation Youth Flag Football League with a record of 6-0. They won the league playoff and then headed to the state flag football tournament in Southlake, Texas, November 16th and 17th of 2013, where they beat teams from all over the state of Texas and won first place. Woo. San Angelo Recreation Division leagues have now won 5 state football championships. And I'm very proud to have our Miles Bulldogs here this morning. And coaches, if you'll introduce these boys. And
Okay, first of all, thanks for having us here. Start off, my name is Sean Riddle. The head coach is Bubba Ellison. He don't like public speaking much. Starting right here, we have Peyton Harris. Raise your hand, Peyton. Shelton Petrie, Caden Crocker, Adam Costaneda, Briley Hollick, Haven Book, Carson Ellison, Gunnar Makeda, and Keegan Riddle. We did end up good. It was fun. They ended up, I think, 19-1. We lost one of the semifinal games and had to turn around and beat Stephenville twice. Some of the teams we played was Allen, Texas, South Lake Carroll, Stephenville. The boys did a really, really good job. I got one quick little funny story. What's funny to us, while we were playing, the referees were asking me during the football game, you know, our population. And he goes, is it about 175,000? I said, do what? And he's like, and I said, no. I said, it's not. I said, it's about 500. And he was cracking jokes like I was messing with him. I said, no, that's probably pushing it. But I said, this is all the boys in the class that are able to play.
The whole class.
So, you know, between second and third grade, this is it. So they worked really, really hard, and hopefully we can repeat next year. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Unbelievable.
Let's say, as the city council and the mayor, I'm very proud of you, Miles Bulldogs. Do it again next year. Brian, let's have a picture. Come up, if you would, come back here, and we need to take a picture, please.
Stand in front.
Dwayne will be the first one to back into it. There goes one. Every time. Every time.
The coach does it every time.
Alrighty, everybody look right here. 1, 2, 3. Anybody else?
They got it? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate it. Congratulations, guys. That is pretty. Thank you. You bet. Thank you, boys, for coming in. Thanks, Coach. Okay. Now, we'll teach those Metroplex teams to mess with us West Texans. All right, we are now public hearing and comment number 8. This will be consideration of adopting a resolution authorizing the city to agree to the terms and conditions of the professional services agreement between the city and Continental Prison Systems Incorporated, DBA as EZ Card and kiosk provider, and substantially the attached form authorizing the city manager to execute the said agreement, declaring an effective date. Judge Gilbert, come present this to us, please, sir.
Thank you.
And I'm not going to tell you 3 to 5. You get to talk like you want to.
It's not going to take me 3 to 5. I think everybody's read the information in your packet. This is something we've been working on for almost 3 years to find a company because kiosks are so expensive. And we found a company that will come in and put these in at no cost to us. It's companies doing this all over the United States, not just in Texas. What we want to do is be able to provide another opportunity for people to pay their fines and water bills. And also, we have the availability with these machines to add any other departments in the future that needs to do collections or wants to make collections more available to the public. If you're at a location grocery shopping where these will be, then you can use these if you'd like to do so to pay your water bill or your fines at municipal court at this time. There is a fee that's attached depending on if you pay cash or if you use debit or credit cards. But of course, we need to remember that if you want to use it, you'll pay this fee. If you don't want to, you can mail it. You can use the internet to pay your fine. You can drive down the water billing. You can drive to the court. It's just a convenience. And if you do use it, you are paying a convenience fee for this opportunity. They will pay for the interfaces for connecting these systems into our systems. And so it's just a good opportunity for the city because we've been looking at these and looking at how we were going to come up with $100,000 to buy 3 of these or more. And so this is a great opportunity.
And it's not going to cost the city anything. All fees will be charged to the consumer that uses the system.
That's right.
And they're going to put them in, and they're going to take care of them, and they're going to maintain them.
That's right.
And this is simply as a convenience to our citizens that choose to use them.
That's right.
One other question I had, Alan. It says that this is between the city and the Continental Prison Systems.
Right. This company actually started out putting these in the prison systems themselves, and then they branched out, and so that's when they went into DBAs as Easy Pay.
We're not dealing. These cards are not going through the prisoners.
No, we're not going through the prisoners. No.
So prisoners are not involved. This is just part of the name of the company.
That's right. That's correct.
Okay. Gentlemen, I
move to approve.
There we go.
I have a question.
Yes, Johnny.
Judge, the convenience fee, or what'd you call the fee?
Yes, sir. Convenience fee.
How much is that? I'm looking.
Depends on the amount.
It's right here on your information sheet. If you do cash, it's $3. If you do debit cards, credit cards, then it depends on how much the amount is, which ranges anywhere from $3.99 to 6% of the payment if it's above $200.
What page are you on?
It's on the first page right there at the bottom.
I don't know how to read. Okay.
Okay.
And you got 3 of these machines? 3 of these?
Well, the company actually comes in and does a survey to see how many we need. And talking with them in pre-discussions, they believe it's going to be 3. And so we're looking at trying to place one in kind of east central Angelo, kind of northwest Angelo, and one in southwest Angelo. Are 3 locations that we're currently looking at.
Doesn't sound like enough machines, but I guess that's a start.
Well, at $30,000 a machine, that's quite an investment for them to come in here and lay out.
Have any further council comments? Anyone from the public want to weigh in on this? This is your opportunity, for or against. If there is none, I'm going to call for the vote. I have a second. Winky made it, and Don seconded it. I do have a motion. I do have a second. I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Put a 7-0 on that one, please, ma'am. Thank you, Judge.
Thank y'all.
Okay, number 9 has been pulled. Number 10 has been pulled. Number 11 has been pulled. So we are to number 12, which is the first public hearing and consideration of introducing an ordinance amending Chapter 12, Exhibit A of the zoning ordinance of the Code of Ordinances, City of San Angelo, Z 1338, Jose A. Ortiz. Who's going to present this to us? State your name and you got the floor, ma'am.
Good morning, Roxanne Johnston, a planner. And since we pulled some of these, I need to go through these really quickly.
The key word there is quickly.
Yes. Okay. So we have a request for approval of a zone change. It's right Now it's currently neighborhood commercial, and we're going to single-family residential. This property does lie right next to a sea of residential properties. And basically, in a nutshell, the whole area has been trending towards residential. No commercial has gone in a long time. I'm sure you all read there was no controversy whatsoever with this zone change
And this is
recommendation.
actually, it's going from a heavy ordinance to a
Absolutely.
to a zoning to a lesser.
Absolutely.
So it's
Good
going
point.
from commercial to residential. That's
Right.
very good.
And one of my pictures will show that some new housing went in right behind it. And if you looked on any maps right now, you would see that there's nothing there. But obviously now there's something there. So the builder's just continuing on his project right there. So if you have any questions or...
Anyone have a question, council?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, I do. Johnny Silvas has made the move for approval, and Don has seconded it. Any further comment, council? Do I have anything from the public? Come ahead, sir. How you doing, man?
All right. My name is Charlie. You know, I own those lots, across the street there. Is that going to change the zoning on my lots too?
No, sir.
Okay.
Just these three, Charlie.
Okay, that's great.
Doesn't hurt you at all, buddy. In fact, it'd probably help you. Have any other further public comment?
I think this is going to be great for the neighborhood.
Yes.
I think it will as well. I think this is a good deal. All right, no further comment. Then I do have a motion. I do have a second. I'm going to call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Put a 7-0 on that one.
Could we throw in a new road while we're at it?
We're going to get a new road? No, won't be any new roads, Johnny. You have anything to say about watering, Rodney?
I bet there'll be another fire hydrant put in.
Let's move on now to number 13, which is consideration of granting a request for temporary placement of a mobile home not to exceed 1 year during construction of a permanent home on the same site at 3226 Lake Drive, located approximately 215 northeast of the intersection of Lake Drive and West 33rd Street, more specifically occupying the Ratliff subdivision, Block 4, Lot 1, Northwest San Angelo. Ms. Johnson.
Again, hello again. We had 16 notifications that were sent out. None were returned. This just passed with a conditional use on this property for household living in the general commercial, heavy commercial district. And so he was kind of paving the way for this situation where he could build a single family residence on the property. And that was unanimously passed by Planning Commission in January. So as you're well aware, Lake Drive, again, is also something that's been residentially supported through the years despite its zoning of different commercial zoning classifications. And so basically, the applicant just wants to build a home there. And this would allow him to stay in a mobile home while the home is being built, and it's very temporary, thus the word temporary in the mobile home permit. And that would be it. Does anybody have any questions?
We have had these before. We've approved some of them when we have disapproved some of them. Marty, this is in your area, so do you want to take it, sir?
Yeah, I'll take it. We had one the other day, and we didn't allow it. And I see no reason to change what we're doing, so I make a motion we deny.
Second.
And I believe the last time when we have approved these before, and we did have a little problem with one of them in the same area 4 or 5 years ago that the year was up and he hadn't done anything. So I understand both sides of this, but with housing as it is, we don't want a bunch of RVs and mobile homes in our areas. So this one the motion has been made that we deny the request, and that's the same thing we did last time, as Marty says. Do I have any further comment from council? Yes, sir.
Roxanne, I don't know if you've been here long enough, but do you know how we are tracking these? I mean, even the ones that we've approved years ago, do you know if they've finished their projects or removed?
Well, in this case, they have to apply for a building permit within a year, and if they don't, then it's moot. And we do have a tracking system. It doesn't necessarily trigger us, oh, by the way, this is up, your year is up. But it is temporary, meaning it's only 1 year. Mm-hmm. At that time, the unit has to be removed, and they can apply for an extension.
But my question is, you don't know about the previous ones that we did approve?
As far as I know, the same situation, since it's the same zoning ordinance with the same regulations, that a year was all that they were given. Code enforcement may have some sort of tracking device for that. I know that we do have an Excel document that we track these things. Now, since I've been here, we haven't had any that have been approved. But then we haven't had a deluge of them anyway, so.
I know we denied the last one, but the one before that was on West 47th, and we approved that one. And he built his house, and I think in 6 months' time, the trailer was gone. So he did exactly as he was supposed to, and that's the way this ordinance is supposed to work.
And I remember the previous one, there was questions on what their real intent is, and I'm pretty sure the applicant intends to build in this instance. He's actually out in the hallway unless he's in here right now, and so hopefully.
Well, if he's
he can
here, I'd like
speak.
to hear from him.
He was one of the people that you had to pass coming in, so.
State your name. You got
Good
3
morning.
to 5
My
to
name is
defend
Jesus
yourself.
Tejas. Even though y'all denied it, I do thank you for your
It's
time.
not denied
It's
yet.
not denied.
Oh, okay.
It's no, you're
denied.
you're still on go.
Well, I wish I could change your mind. It's just, to me right now, I'm going through a tough time. This is the easiest way and cheapest way for me to go. Temporarily home and a mobile home and building my house. Instead of getting an apartment or getting a house, because it's a little bit expensive right now. Everything has gone up, and this property was given to me by my parents, so I don't have to pay for property either. Just, I wish y'all can change your mind and, approve this. As soon as I build a house, mobile home will be out of there. So please consider it.
I'm going to take a chance on you. You're going to be out of there in a year? You're going to have your home built?
Hopefully, yes, sir. That's my intent.
I'm going to take a chance on you. Charlotte?
Well, it's nothing against you, sir, and your intentions, but the city has not enforced what we have in place, and that's the reason for my denial is until we come up with a better system to enforce that 1 year and to handle it, I just don't see any changes coming from staff, the way they follow up to prevent this from happening, and that's why I'm voting against it. It's nothing that with you personally. I hope you understand that.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
I understand. It's just, ask for a chance, and whatever decision y'all make, I'll respect it whether I like it or not.
You changed my mind. You just need 3 more.
Thank you.
The question I've got that I'm asking is the one before. You said the 2 of them back. That the guy did finish that. Didn't we have one?
Yes.
Didn't we have one other one that was? We had 3 in the last 6 months, I think.
I cannot remember. I know the one on West 47th. He asked for the same thing, and he bought land, and he put a mobile home out there, and he built his house, and he was perfect. He followed the ordinance. He was. I think the mobile home was gone in 6 to 9 months. I mean, he did exactly as he's supposed to. We had one that was asked for. I think it was on Lake Drive. I think that's the one that we denied. Mm-hmm. We had another one on Lake Drive probably 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, and we had to deny him on the 2nd year. But I think he finally finished it as well. It just took him longer than what he thought it would.
Yeah. Well, and I've been keeping track with this, because since last year, there's been some approved on, like you said, the 147. There was another one on 48th Street.
Yeah.
West 48. I just said the one on Lake Drive, but just, I'm taking my chances. Cheapest way for me to go, and everything's so expensive right now. So.
Is that the trailer that you're going to be staying in right there in the picture?
The city planners told me that I can have an RV, that it has to be a mobile home. Before we knew all this, we talked to the permit department when we tried to get all the bills open, all the utilities open, and they had informed my father that it would be an RV, not a mobile home. Of course, they don't know the planners department, so we assumed that since it's a city, everybody knew their job or so we went with the RV. Now I'm stuck with a $46,000 trailer, and now I have to change that to a mobile home, so.
Wow.
How quick are you ready to move on this, to build the house?
As soon as I get the utilities turned on. I was waiting for this to be approved, that way, if it did get approved, I can go ahead and get everything turned on. I didn't want to make any expenses on it and not get approved.
Do you have your plans, your building plans?
No, ma'am. Like, once again, I don't want to spend money, until everything's planned. I do have,
Six, 7 months.
No.
Drafts person can get it in a week, pretty quick.
Would you be willing to wait one meeting and let us sit down and do some talking and about it, and instead of voting on it today, put it on the agenda for the next council meeting, and maybe you and I can visit between then?
Sure.
I'll pull my motion.
Because if we vote and you lose,
It's
you can't
done.
come back for a year.
I understand.
But by pulling this and putting it on postponing it, we give you another shot. Now, I'm going to support you on this, but it takes four to get anything done. So if you want to pull this thing, if you're willing to postpone it until the next meeting and get with Marty and talk about this, because it's his area out there.
I understand.
And if you can convince him, then we'll talk about it again next time.
Well, I'll pull my motion. I don't know who seconded it. Charlotte, if she's willing.
The motion has been pulled, so if someone wants to make another motion, we can go on. If not, I would like to give you and Marty a couple of weeks and look at it again.
Well, that'll work.
Okay.
Well,
And I've got one more question. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
So when we do these temporaries like this, he has to move a mobile home in there. See, that doesn't even really make sense to me. I'd almost rather him be in an RV where it's
Absolutely.
easier to move in and out instead
I
of
don't-
setting up everything.
I agree.
$46,000 later.
As you know, we're following the ordinance, and the ordinance specifically talks about the differences between a mobile home and an RV, and the RV doesn't fit the definition of a mobile home, and therein lies our problem. We're
Well-
having
But let's
to-
use some common sense on this.
We can
Yeah.
adjust
Well,
that.
you know, as you well know, we've talked about RV moratorium, and a lot of it had to do with the definitions. And in this case, we have a definition that doesn't really give us
Right.
a lot of room. So
And
that's
I'm not
why
trying to
we
be,
had
I'm not coming
No,
down on
no.
you. I just,
It
I want to do
isn't-
a
it
common
isn't real
sense thing
clear.
here.
Exactly.
And I think if we put the RV in there, they can move it in and out quicker. I don't think that someone's going to want to live in an RV that, indefinitely. They do, people do, but I think you're less of a risk if that looks like that would work to me.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
One of the problems I have, and I'll get on my soapbox a little bit here, I have a constituent that we're kind of going through this same thing with. We need to coordinate things so that we don't have people spending money, and then once they'll spend
Right.
the money, come back in and say, oh, no, we can't do this. If there's bad ordinances out there, staff, bring them to us so we can fix them.
I love to hear what you're saying.
Thank you.
Together as a city.
And I don't have a problem with a special provision to allow this RV. I mean, this is, obviously, this is a very nice RV, but if you would get with Marty on this and kind of work this out, and we can bring it back with provisions.
And it just makes sense also. I mean, how many of these RVs are parked around in people's backyards? My neighborhood, there's 3 of these, RVs that look just like that.
And he could have built his barn first and put his RV in it, and he
That's
wouldn't be here.
Exactly right.
That's what I told him. But and on the mobile home, if I had to go get a mobile home, and which I haven't, I've been looking around, but I don't want to make the expense without knowing if it was going to get approved or not. Once I build a house, my parents are taking over the payment on the RV.
Right.
So they're keeping the RV, so it's not like I'm going to have to wait for someone to buy it from me or anything like that. It's already gone. So.
But again, once you have the house, you can have it in your backyard.
Right. Yeah, and that's
Just
why,
kidding. Yes.
that's why I'm saying we need to fix our ordinances to where they have some common sense with them.
Yes, sir. Well, thank
I
you.
have a question.
Johnny.
Jose, are you living there now?
No. I don't know. That way.
Good answer.
Good answer.
Good answer.
Oh, I wish.
That was
right
a
now
trick question.
I'm living with a friend. So.
But, and I agree that if you sit down with Marty, I think I believe we can make this work.
Yeah.
But you'll have to just hit the ground running and break ground and get it going. And, that's the advice that we're giving you now. So if it's not going to hurt you to wait a couple of more weeks, then are you okay with that?
Well, I've been waiting for 2.5 months, so I'm sure 2 weeks will be
Let's
fine.
move on with this.
Yeah.
Everybody in agreement?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Get with Marty, please, sir. Y'all work it out and
I'll
bring
call.
it back next meeting, and
I'll call you.
Thank you.
I think
Got
we
your
can make
number.
this work for you.
All right. Yeah, have a good day. Thank you.
Turner, we're going to talk about this next week.
Yes, sir.
No. Okay, Turner, come up. You got your 3 to 5.
This is probably something that needs to be on a future agenda item, but my name is Jim Turner, by the way. One of the things we probably need to put in place is a commission to do for the Code of Ordinances, the same thing we did a few years ago for the city charter. We need to look at forming a an ordinance review and sunset commission or committee that'll go through these ordinances, zoning ordinances in particular, but across the board, and make sure that they're in sync with state law still, they make sense, they're not holding back business and citizens and the city as a whole, and they're not having a negative effect on the community, and that they're actually doing something positive. If we got an ordinance out there that's really not doing anything for the community, we don't need it, and there's a lot of them there. The fact that you've got that extra ordinance there, if it's not doing something positive, it's a negative. Thank you.
Thank you, Turner. Ms. Ramirez, if you would, please, ma'am, put this on our next agenda, and we will discuss it at that time. And I need to take about 5 or 10 minutes, so let's call it is 10:10. Let's take a few minutes break.
Yeah.
And let's call the meeting back to order, and let's move on to item 14, which is the first public hearing consideration of introducing an ordinance annexing certain properties situated immediately southwest of San Angelo, encompassing the Community of Faith subdivision, being 4 acres of Section 3, Block 1, Lot 8, extending southwest from Southland Boulevard, located directly east of an 8.995 acre tract annexed to the city limits on March 5, 2013. That comprises the Preston Wood Addition, Section 2. Ms. Johnson, you are on.
Hello again. You're very familiar with this area now. I believe you've seen this annexation request in front of you about 4 times now. Right now, today, we are just introducing the ordinance, and we're also introducing a service plan draft for you. So basically, that's the nutshell of what's going on here.
Somebody want to make a motion to approve
Yes.
this? Get it started.
Motion to approve is presented.
Anybody want to second that? I do have a motion to approve the annexation as presented. I do have a second, Mr. Fleming. Do I have any further comment from council?
I think she's good.
Well, I like the way she rolls things along. Anything from the public? Any pros or cons on this? This is your opportunity. If not, I will call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Put a 7-0 on that one, please, Ms. Ramirez. Let's move on now to item number 15, which is the first public hearing, consideration of adopting an ordinance amending ordinance number 2013-12-165, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2013-12-165, adopting commercial property development moratorium within the corporate limits of the city of San Angelo, Texas, relating to mobile home parks, manufacturing housing parks, recreational vehicle parks, effective on November 22, 2013, expiring on February 19, 2014, providing for an extension of the moratorium, providing a severability clause, declaring an emergency, providing an effective date. Licia Bowling, our attorney, would you take this, please, ma'am?
Yes, Mayor, council members, Licia Bowling, City Attorney. The extension would be through May 16th, and it will be for an additional 90-day period, same basis, same criteria. So this is what's set forth in the cover memo and in the ordinance. So it is adopted on 1 reading based on the charter declaration of an emergency.
Thank you, ma'am. Rodney, this is yours.
I move that we accept the extension.
Anybody want a second?
Second.
Do have a motion, do have a second. Any further comment from council?
Just a question.
Yes, ma'am.
You said May, but we can look at it before that time, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Any further? Yes, sir.
I have one question.
Okay, Don.
Where are we on the status as far as the rewrite of this thing and bringing it before us? Do we know?
We've seen the draft.
It's almost.
Right, absolutely. Yesterday there was a very thorough presentation to Planning Commission, and the presenter, being AJ, will be giving you all the material. There were some responses and questions, but there's a very, very comprehensive, interrelated set of ordinances that are almost ready to go.
Okay.
Work in progress.
The draft
On a
was in
fast
there,
track.
Don.
Yeah, I saw that. I just didn't know when we were going to finalize it.
It's long.
I did talk to a couple of committee members, and they were very pleased at the direction and the pace that it was going, so.
Further comment? Public? Comment on this? Pro or con? Step forward. If not, I'm going to call for the vote. We do have a motion. We do have a second. All in favor of extending the moratorium, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Drop a 7-0 on that one too, please, ma'am. Number 16, consideration of selecting Duralast via TAPS system TXMAS 055640 to replace the Foster Communications Coliseum roof in an amount not to exceed $678,000, authorizing staff to negotiate an agreement in substantially the attached form, and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement between the city of San Angelo and Duralast. Civic Events Manager Angelica Pena, you on, ma'am.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. I'd like the brevity mode that we have going on today. So this is a project that we've known for a long time, has been coming. Just to give you some brief background on the Coliseum roof itself, the structure was built back in 1958. It does consist of several layers of polyurethane foam. Now, the bad thing about the foam is with sun, it splits, it cracks. With high winds, we can expect a lot of damage to that roof, and it does require a lot of maintenance. Every 5 years, it does need some elastomeric paint to be on the surface, so it's a very high maintenance product that is currently on there. Another thing about that roof is it's very heavy. On top of the textile decking, all the different layers of the roof make it a very heavy structure. The last major renovation was done in 2001, when less than 5% of the roof was recoated. And then, if you will recall, back in April of last year, the roof sustained some wind damage. We had high winds and 2 large portions of the roof actually flew off. We were able to obtain risk management funds and actually file an insurance claim and get that repaired, and the patches have been holding up well, actually. Council may recall that as a directive, this roof replacement was identified as a high priority when it came to discussing hotel occupancy fund balance projects. We also took this to our Civic Events Board, and they were supportive. They realized that this is something that needs to be done here pretty quickly. I have some pictures of the roof. It actually looks like the surface of the moon, all of the cratering that you see. This is the foam covering. You can see that it's in this picture, that it ponds water there towards the edge, and it kind of holds it there. And that was after, these pictures were taken last week, so that was after the ice kind of melted. There's a picture of one of the patches on the roof. Now, using our TIPS TAP system, which is a buy board that the city uses, and actually we realized substantial savings in going this route, we did receive a proposal from Duralast. They are proposing a 15-year warranty, turnkey project, complete start to finish, at $542,529. Now, on top of that, we do ask for a 25% contingency. The installer has identified areas of the decking that will need to be replaced. Now, their $542,000 doesn't include additional decking work. That's why we're asking for the contingency. There is some that's going to need to be done, and it's at $10.71 a square foot. This would make our total project cost of $678,000. Excuse me. Scope of work, Duralast actually partners with a local contractor, which in this case would be Harrison Roofing. Harrison has actually achieved what Duralast calls an elite contractor status. They've done a lot of these projects, and they've come out successful, so they've achieved that elite status. So we're proud to have them here locally. We think it would be advantageous for us in case they needed to come back for any reason. They're very close. They would tear off and dispose of the current roofing material. Install actually a custom prefabricated piece. The Duralast material would be made in a plant in Carrollton, Texas, and they come out and they measure and they just make like one fitted piece, so there's not many seams, which is great. It would prevent leaking in those seams. They would install prefabricated metal flashings, two-way breather vents, and are providing a 15-year labor warranty. And that covers everything. If there's a defect in the product or in the labor, Duralast and Harrison Roofing will honor that for the 15 years.
Well, if they're going to warrant it 15 years, we don't need that 20-year maintenance agreement for $40,000, do we?
It's direct. It's up to you. If you wanted to pay the additional $40,000 for the 5-year coverage,
it
that's
just gets you 5 extra years is what it does.
5 years at $40,000. Okay, that's a decision we'll make. Go ahead. I'm sorry, ma'am.
But it's thicker also.
Sir?
It is thicker.
It's thicker
It's
also.
40 mil that we use for the 15-year, and it's 50 mil with the 20-year. Some of the benefits of the material, it is a prefab system, so 85% of the work is done outside in Carrollton, Texas. They just come and install the piece. It is lightweight, so we're actually alleviating a lot of the weight that we have currently on the Coliseum roof. It's completely made in the United States, no hazardous materials used, and it is very energy efficient. We've had success stories from both the state building, the Ralph Chase State Building on Oak Street, as well as the EOC, that have used this material and have actually saved money on their energy bills. It would only take 120 days to complete this project, and probably the best thing that staff appreciates about Duralast product is that we do not have to vacate the Coliseum while the work is being done. So business as usual while the install is taking place. What we're seeking for today is direction and approval from city staff to accept the Duralast proposal. We would need to come back with a budget amendment, of course, to move the funds from the hotel occupancy fund balance into our account and get the project started.
Don, if memory serves, you're the one that's been pushing this, so you want to take it from here, sir?
Sure, I think it's awesome that we're going to do that, and of course, with the decking, that the way the Coliseum's constructed, that's actual a structural part of it. So, my only question is, are we replacing the foam?
We're completely taking off the foam. We're scarfing it in its entirety and replacing it with the Duralast material.
Okay, the Duralast replaces the foam material because of the reflection.
Yes, well, and that's what the actual roof is comprised of. Because at the moment, it's foam. We're taking that completely off and putting that Duralast piece on top. That will be our roof.
Okay, and then that goes on the structural member, what's the name of it?
The Tectum decking?
Tectic, yeah.
Yes.
That goes directly on that then?
Yes.
Okay.
They do have insulation boards that go in between and then the Duralast on top.
Okay, good. Thank you. I think it's awesome. I make a motion that we accept it.
Yeah, 20 or 15?
20, because for the difference in the thickness and everything, I think.
You're also
money
extending the
well
life of it for by another 33%, you know, so that's
Right.
quite an increase for
For
40,000. That's
$40,000.
correct, yes.
It's actually, if you amortize it over the years, it's cheaper to go to the 20. It's just under.
That's right.
I second.
Okay, I do have a motion from Don that we accept the 20-year. That includes that maintenance agreement, which gives us a 20-year guarantee. Mr. Wardlaw has seconded it. Do I have any other comment from council on this? Mr. Silvas?
I don't guess you'd have a picture of what one looks like, do you?
Giddy up, go.
The new Duralast? No, and I should have brought, I actually have a sample of it. Harrison Roofing's business card is printed on this material. It's very, very light and thin, but it's a great product. So we're excited to have it at the Coliseum.
You can find it on Duralast.com also. They have
Correct.
pretty good pictures on there also. So.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to know, Harrison Roofing, are they familiar with the product? Have they?
Oh, yes,
used
they're
it
an
before?
elite status
Okay.
contractor. They've done this plenty of times.
And I am so glad to see us using local contractors instead of going to San Antonio or Dallas or, as in the past, Canada. So.
Amen.
I think this is wonderful. Do I have any further comment from council? Do I have any comment from the public, pro or con? This is your opportunity. If not, I'm going to call for the vote. All in favor of this is the 20-year, 683, I think was the figure that
Well, it actually, because we're going with the
It will come
20-year,
back.
it will, but it increases by 40,000. So
Okay.
instead of the 678, you add $40,000 on top of that.
we're going with the Cadillac plan here.
718,000. Correct.
20-year. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Drop a 7-0 on that one, please, ma'am. Thank you, Angelica.
Thank you.
Let's move on now. Consideration, this is number 17. Consideration of approving matters related to the Concho River improvements. What I will do on this, Mr. Wardlaw, if it's all right with you, let's take A, C, and D, and then we will go back and talk about B. I think there's some areas that you had some questions about. Is that all right, sir?
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's do 17A, which is review financial information associated with the construction project. Number C, discussion and consideration of approving conceptual design and budget for the expanded games court area, the BOSC, and authorizing staff to proceed with finalizing designs with Kenny Frankie Architects for the improvement. And D, discussion and consideration of authorizing staff to solicit requests for proposals for operation of the concession and game courts area, the BOSC. Brother White, your own, sir.
We've got quite a bit of ground to cover, but I can do it pretty quickly. Just a quick review of the finances, because we looked at this fairly recently back in last September, so this is an update. Looking at the main construction project, all told, we started off with $9.3 million with change orders. We're up to about $10.1 million. We've reached substantial completion with the project back in September. We're holding on still to $25,000 in contingency. Right now, The estimated amount that would be returned to the city from the project is almost $300,000. This is money that was budgeted towards the project, but will be returned to the city. Looking at monies that aren't associated with the contract, it's about $1.1 million. Previous discussions with council, we've held back different commitments and contingencies for the project. They're listed here, totaling $1,030,000. So that leaves free, that's not tagged with any contingency or commitments, of about $61,000. I'll return, when we talk about the change orders, I'll return to this figure, the $295,000. And when we talk about the Bosque, I'll return to some of these figures here. So that is the quick review of the finances of the project. We ended well with the project, and we still have money left in the river improvement projects. I would like to remind council about the Edgewater property. The river improvement project did purchase that property for under about $900,000 a few years ago. Once that property is sold, transferred, we will get that money back to go towards river improvements.
Yeah, so those aren't, that almost million is not included in these
Correct.
figures you're looking at.
Very good. Anybody want to move to accept or deny?
It's just a review.
Oh, it's just a review. We don't need to take any action?
For the finances, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, we will need to approve number B.
Yes, sir.
But the
Really?
one, A, C, and, well, consideration approving number C.
Right, I'm moving to C now. That was A, which is
Okay,
just
okay,
a
I'm
review.
sorry, Carl. I'm awake.
That's
now.
fine.
Okay, I'm awake. Whoa. Okay, go to C, please, sir.
Moving quick. C is, we want to look at the area that we call the Bosque now, which was part of the design of the project, the Bosque, a unique public space that we created as part of the river project with Kinney Architects. We have a couple of goals with the Bosque area, and if you recall back in September, council okayed us setting up a committee to look at the area and how to improve and enhance the surrounding adjacent property that isn't developed. And we've had about 3 meetings with that committee. But we wanted, some of our goals, we wanted to look at that property and kind of accept what was in the past, the old putt-putt golf course and the amusement park that was there previously, and look towards the future and create a public space that all the community would be proud of and would go down to enjoy, and all the visitors would enjoy as well. Those were our goals. So this is a map that shows the Bosque area. The Bosque is basically on the north bank of the river between Irving Street and Chadbourne Street. Here's the existing parking lot, the existing restrooms. This area here, this is a fence that separates the current improved property, which is the washer pitching areas, the chessboard, the bocce ball area, the stage that's underneath Chadbourne Bridge, some musical chimes that we have underneath that section of the bridge. That all has been improved with the fountain. With the committee met, we talked about different concepts, and this is the one we'd like to propose to council. This one includes, and all the concepts included, some very similar things. The main thing is to include a putt-putt golf course on this end. We worked with Harris, a company called Harris, to see if we could fit an 18-hole golf course in this area, and we can. We'd like to put back a concession building there. As you recall, there used to be a concession building here that was on top of the sewer line that is getting replaced here in the near future. The sewer project will put $100,000 towards our project to replace this concession. We think the building is going to cost more than the $100,000 though, and we'll talk about cost here in a little bit. So we would have a putt-putt golf course, a concession area, an area where we could have a food court, and I'll show a picture of that here in a second. An area where we could have a unique play environment for children, and in that area, we didn't want to do something traditional like we have at Kids Kingdom or at Firefighters Memorial City Park, the traditional playground equipment. We want to look to try to do something different. So we wanted to create a place where you can come down and play games, you could play putt-putt, you could ride paddle boats, you could play with musical chimes, you could listen to music underneath the bridge. The kids could hang out here and have fun in the play area. There's a restaurant that's being developed just above that with an extended deck, if you recall. So we wanted to create just a really cool place for the public to enjoy. So this is the concept. And let me show you a few pictures. This is one in Austin of a food court with the food trucks and food carts at nighttime, which ours would look similar to this, but not exactly like this. during the day, the putt-putt golf course, and our current version extends it a little bit farther towards the parking lot. A carousel, we probably couldn't afford one this large, and we might want to work with the private vendor to bring this in, if that's what we want to do. But there are carousels we can purchase used that you might be able to get one this size. It's more likely to get one a little bit smaller, like this one, perhaps something in between. And that would go, our proposed location is right here, next to Chadbourne Street. Some of the unique play equipment we were thinking about doing is something that's a little more imaginative for children, and it wouldn't be hobbit holes like this, but something similar where kids could use their imagination. Maybe some swings that go around the perimeter, climbing apparatus that go around the perimeter, perhaps a climbing wall and a slide. Let me go back here a second. We have the slope on the northern side of this property. One thought is to have a place where kids could climb up and slide down right here next to the restaurant. Just things that are unique in terms of play equipment. So that's the concept that we'd like to move forward with for the Bosque. If there's any questions, let me just back up a little bit. One thought is that we'd like to also add some things that make the area a little more unique. For instance, adding a windmill and leaving some space where we could enhance that area to make a nice entrance for folks who come in. Maybe add some art, some unique art to the area, really make it unique. I'd like to look at the cost right quick. The funding that's currently available that we've talked to council about committing before is the $100,000 that's part of the sewer line replacement project, the $175,000 that's been earmarked for the putt-putt golf course, and $10,000 for the dock for the paddle boats, for a total of $285,000. Other monies we could gain access to are the $500,000 council previously set aside for reserve, $61,000 that would be left available from outside of the project, and then money left over from returned to the city from Templeton Construction, which could be more if we don't take all the change orders, for about $1 million. In terms of cost, the staff has prioritized it, but we're looking at a little bit more than $1 million. Putt-putt golf course, $175,000. Concession building, we estimate $225,000. The dock for the paddle boats, site work, utilities, professional services, contingencies, the carousel, the play equipment, a washer pitching area. Of course, if we did it in-house, it'd be a lot cheaper than that. A climbing wall, additional musical instruments, and then embellishments, the art and aesthetics. And this is our guess. But for this particular item, we're asking council if you'd like us to move forward with doing the design for this area. Our proposal is to continue to use the services of Kenny Frankie Architects as additional services with our existing contract for the river improvement project. So that's what we would like consideration of for this sub-item.
You're saying you've got about $993,000 and we need about $1.115 million?
If we did all the improvements at the estimated cost. But it could be more if council doesn't choose to take all the change orders.
I'd like to see us stay within our budget, but that's just me. Charlotte?
Well, I can say that Johnny and I both serve on this committee, and this has been exciting. I get very excited at the possibilities and adding to and spending the rest of the money, and it can only be spent down there on the river. This was part of the grant money that was given, and it can only be spent down there. The only thing that I don't like is, and of course, it's all not been approved, so that's why we've not been promoting more. But when I talk to people about, have you seen downtown, what we've done down on the river, so many people here in town don't even know about it. And I would like to see, you've got the pictures, you've got the stuff, posted on a board, this is coming soon, to promote it more, because this is tourism dollars. This brings people in who can't go to a big theme park in Orlando or out in California. They can take their family to San Angelo to vacation with all of the projected. And I want to add that Craig Kinney has done a wonderful job of getting me excited about, the carousel, and if we had some little buffaloes, or just something unique for our area to ride down there. And I'm excited about the project. I would like for us to stay within the budget. I really would. I agree with Mr. Morrison on that. But I'm excited about the project, and even more excited that Carl, you and your supervisors or whatever managed to do everything in there and come in under budget and have monies left over. And then we still have, this is one we had a pretty good sized contingency on, and that even makes it better.
I know Johnny wants to talk about the putt-putt, and then we'll get to Rodney.
Well, I really didn't. But I have been a proponent of this idea from day one, even from when the old Neff's was there. What's it called, Neff's?
Neff's Amusement.
It was.
Yeah, and
used to have a train.
Yeah.
Not a train in this. I didn't see a picture of a train, Carl.
No, sir.
Okay.
Well, let us go over the money.
But again, I think I've had a lot of comments from folks that are looking forward to, they've heard through the grapevine that maybe this is coming down the pipe, and so I think that's the exciting part that Charlotte talks about. Clarify for me again, the monies that are coming back. You talked about the $295,000, and then what else? The property, the river, the edge. No,
I'm not including that yet because we haven't sold that
so
property
then with
yet.
this 1.1 million, is the 295,000 plus
The money that's been allocated towards this project to date is this 285,000.
Mm-hmm.
And what he's saying on the if you look right there, it shows 146, I believe.
Oh,
what would happen of that 295? And we haven't discussed on item B, there are three change orders we were recommending.
I see.
If you took all three of those out, then you'd only have the 146 left of the 295.
Of the 295. Okay, that's where I was a little.
So that's assuming that you took them. If you didn't award all of those, then you could potentially add some back there. And keep in mind on the budget thing, we tried to prioritize those, which would then give you all the ability, once we start getting more pricing that comes in specific, what we might be able to do. All of it, because we've got the money for all of it, or reduce an item.
Here's the math on the 295 you were asking about.
That's what I want.
If we took all the pieces of the change order, would leave 147.
Okay.
Rodney?
The question I have, Carl, is there any possibility we could do a public-private partnership on this and get somebody to go in there and do a long-term lease with them and have them put in the building, have them put in the putt-putt, have them do the paddle boats and something like that? Have we looked at that?
Possibly, and that's part D of this item.
I know there's a couple gentlemen here that want the paddle boats, or they talked about doing paddle boats down there on the river and doing stuff like that. I mean, I would really like to see some kind of partnership with them and let them, not these guys, but whoever wants to come in and possibly do some kind of partnership and save us money.
Well, that's really essentially part D of this item. And so at this point, we're just asking if council wants to move forward with the design. Okay. So perhaps we could move forward with the design and a RFP and bring those two together.
Okay. Because I saw 10,000 for the boat dock. Well, I'd rather have whoever's going to put in the paddle boats to do their own boat dock, and let's not pay 10,000 at all.
And typically what we've done in the past on public-private partnerships is actually put out a request for proposals from members in the community, whoever that may be, or outside, and basically see what it is they're willing to bring to the table. Because I really have no idea. There may be somebody who's willing to spend, $200,000 on a concession building, but maybe not. I don't know what level of support the city will have to offer in order to get someone in there to then take off and run with it.
Maybe especially we could do a long-term lease, like guarantee them kind of a slot for years and years to come. So, just a thought.
Right.
Charlotte, you're on top of this. Why don't we take care of C, and let's vote on that, and we'll move to D. So if you want to make some type of proposal on this.
I will move for the motion to proceed, to let staff proceed with the design and ideas that have been put forth us today. Now, that not including B, this is just C.
This is just C.
Right. I do make that a vote.
I'll second that.
Did you want to hold this at the 993 or the amount?
No, the 993.
Okay. So the motion has been made that we allowed staff to move on, staying within our budget that we have. Is that the same thing that you seconded, Johnny?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do I have further discussion from council?
Well,
yes, sir.
So,
go ahead, Marty.
We're not approving any kind of construction now. It's really moving forward with the design. Any construction.
Conceptual.
Any construction or partnership we bring back, it would have to come back to council.
He's going to try to work.
But that design, I mean, I understand staying within our budget, but that design will basically, we're going to look at designing the whole entire thing, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it'll
Okay.
cover all of these components, because at the end of the day, my hope would be that we can get those dollars to come in where we can build it all. But if we don't, then we'll have to decide which of those items not to do, not to build a climbing wall or whatever it is.
Okay.
But we'll have that planned already, so it could be added in the future.
Marty, I have to give up, I want a windmill because, you know, without the water and what it stands for, our area, that's what brought settlers and stuff here, you know.
Ooh, I like
But I have to give that up. It doesn't fit in the budget. Maybe we can get private partnership, but they do need to proceed, I think, with the design and the plans. And of course, the carousel is a huge draw, and I just think that tourism that it will promote is tremendous.
How much will the design cost?
We were budgeting $50,000.
Do you think you can come in for the whole project with that? Because we're looking at the whole thing as a whole, aren't we?
Well, conceptually, we're looking at the whole. At this point, we're asking for the okay with the basic concept, and then moving forward with the design, which of course we'll bring back to council before we do any kind of construction.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. You think you can, for $50,000, accomplish that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And we think so because we may be able to leverage some, for instance, companies like the Putt-Putt group who do work, and it's sort of a design build, so we may be able to leverage those dollars with companies
Harris is
where
good for
we're
that.
not hiring someone specifically to design that at an extra fee.
Okay, that's,
Okay.
I didn't think that was very much money to do that. So.
Just remind me right quick, all of the rock work that you see down there, the design, what has been used, staff has done that, is that not correct?
Well, a lot of the big rocks that were hauled in were done by the contractor, but a lot of, you'll see detail work as we go on in the parks, and we'll see more of it happening here after the project is complete, where the staff does come in and do a lot of detail.
And I recall Craig Kinney's presentation to us, you know, and the use of what is natural to our area and his suggestions. So even if staff did it, it was his brainchild, and I'm still impressed, Craig. Thank you.
What's my chances of a train?
I think we should.
Do you want it to move?
Don't we have a train company here in town? Maybe we should talk to them.
There we go.
If no further council comment, do I have any comment from the public on this? Come up, Bastardo. State your name. You got 3 to 5, sir.
My name is Richard Bastardo, and I'm a former city councilman. And it makes me happy to see this taking off. Because when I was on the council, with the help of city manager, I pushed hard to buy that train. And council approved it. And if anyone here wants to go back and do their homework and check me out on this, we bought it for $18,000. The track, the train, and the house it slept in. When I was off the council, they got rid of it. That train had a lot of history. I'd be willing to bet my dollars against y'all's donuts that Mr. Self, Mr. Barterman, and I know I did get to ride that train. Okay? Had a lot of history. Okay? But the future council got rid of it. And now here we are talking about that train. Thank you.
I just a little bitty mayor, and I used to ride that train.
There you go, man.
Do I have further comment from the public on this? If not, I'm going to call for the motion, and the motion has been made that we approve it up to our $993,000 for negotiating figures, which should incentivize and behoove everyone to work together to make this work out this way. No further comment. I have had a second. I'm going to ask for approval on this. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Put a 7-0 on that one, ma'am. Move on to D, please, sir.
D is just really looking at whether council wants to direct staff to spend time to put out a request for proposals. There's two ways we could operate this area. We could have city staff operate it and manage it. I'm talking about the Bosque, or we could try to join in with a private firm, a private company, a concessionaire, if you will, to run this area. Staff does recommend that we go out for a request for proposals to see if we can find somebody to run this area on 5 or 10 year lease. So that's what we're asking at this point.
The city's concessionaire, would he, I mean.
It's possible, yes.
Does he have to bid on this since he already has a contract with the city?
If the only thing there is he doesn't have exclusive right to sell food at that location, he does have the exclusive right to sell alcohol. So if alcohol were sold at this location and we went with a different vendor, we would have to amend his agreement to remove that location from his contract. But yes, he could put in a proposal to operate this area.
I'm just sorry. I thought his contract already included food sales in any public area.
No.
Okay.
It depends on the location. At all the civic event venues, he does have exclusive right to sell food at those places.
And he does on alcohol.
At all locations.
This is just an RFP. I mean, we're just going out for bids. We're not contracting.
That's
for
correct.
anything.
We're seeking proposals. We'd bring those back to council. We'd go through a process, maybe use the same committee to look at those proposals and bring them to council. Bring one to
Motion
council.
approve C as presented.
Well, do what?
Charlotte has made a motion to approve that we go out for the RFP.
I'll second.
Marty?
Do we know exactly what we're going to be asking for? Because we don't know for sure what's in there, right?
The scope of services, if you basically just talking through it right quick, would be to operate the Putt-Putt golf course, operate the concession building, coordinate the food trucks and carts that come in, rent the paddle boats, if there's a carousel or other kid activities that might have a nominal cost, to do that, to check out washers for washer pitching, to check out the chess pieces.
So we're assuming everything's going to be done.
Yes, but at this point, it's a proposal. We're seeking proposals.
Okay.
At this point, if we bring somebody in, we could negotiate something else. They could have ideas to
Do something else.
to do something else.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
I don't have a problem going out for proposals. We're not locked in on anything. I do have a motion. I do have a second. Any further comment? Council? Public? This is your opportunity. Pro or con? If not, I'm going to call for the vote that we go ahead and allow the city staff to solicit requests for proposals for operations of the concessions and games at the river. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Put a 7-0 on that one. Now, let's drop back to B. I know that Mr. Wardlaw had a problem with supporting columns of the pedestrian bridge west of Abe, replacement of the decking of the pedestrian bridge east of Coinheim. Do you have a problem with the installation of the additional LED lights, Mr. Wardlaw?
No, sir, not that one. We could go ahead and.
Is all this has to be tied together, or can we do these individually?
It doesn't have to be. And David,
Why don't we talk about the lights, and then we'll have Mr. Wardlaw go into the others that he wants to discuss.
the lights, originally as part of the project, we had been designed to have LED lights, 8 under each bridge, Oaks, Chadburn, Cunningham, and Abe Street. During the value engineering, we reduced the number of lights at Abe Street and Cunningham. In the end of the project, we realized we did have money to do it. Those lights are tied to San Angelo Health Foundation grant. In writing, they've stated to us they will not give us the remainder of the grant money, about $73,000, unless we install those lights. Basically, that money would pay for these lights. The 4 lights that are underneath those bridges, it's nice, but it doesn't really give you as good of a look as you see underneath Oak Street and Chadburn, which do have the 8 lights.
And I think at the time, working with Craig, the thought was that by cutting it, it would still provide enough light there. But while it does, as Carl said, provide the light, it's just not as bright as we would like it to be. So
it needs to be bright.
It does. And Tom Early at the health department, it says if we put him in, he'll pay, and if we don't, he won't. So
that's correct.
I think that's a pretty good incentive. I'm looking for a motion. Do we approve the lights?
Move for approval of the lights.
I'll second.
Is that good enough?
Okay.
That'll work. Any further counsel? Anything from the public on the lights? Calling for the motion. We're calling for the vote. All of those in favor of going ahead and extend. Do you have something else, Carl?
I just had a question. If we bring in, it'd be a different change order with that one particular item. would the city manager have authorization to execute that change order?
I would say yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
He can, you can,
Oh,
the
yeah.
city, put the caveat that the city manager has the ability to execute the change order with the council approval that we've given.
Okay.
That
As long as
work?
it stays in budget.
Okay. You all right on the second?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Let's put a 7-0 on that one. Move on now, if you would, please, to the supporting columns of the pedestrian bridge west of Abe and the replacement of the decking of the pedestrian bridge east of Coingheim, and see if you can convince Mr. Wardlaw this is something we need to do.
The two other items that we feel really strongly that we should move forward with, so that we could finish up this project really nicely and well, in our opinion, is some additional column work to the high pedestrian bridge, the bridge that's to the west of Abe Street. As you recall, we took a change order to do some substantial repairs to the metalwork of the bridge. We did, with that change order, do some wrapping of one column of some issues we could see with the column. But when we got up there to do the metalwork, it was discovered that there were some other issues with the column. We've got an engineer to look at the condition of the columns. They are safe, but to secure their integrity for the future, we're recommending we move forward with this proposal to do some additional work. If you have detailed questions about that, David's here and he can answer that. But it's really shoring up that these two columns to make sure that the structure has good integrity for the next 40, 50 years.
And the way we went about this, of course, is through Templeton, who's our construction manager. So it's their responsibility to go out and seek those bids for us. So we certainly have the options, if y'all would like, we could take this back out. It's my opinion that this needs to be done. I don't want to leave a bridge that isn't primed for the future. I will say that the prior work that was done on these, as well as this, was covered within the current project. It wasn't something that was bid, so we covered it. We brought $300,000, but these change orders that were done to fix these things were covered within the project as well, outside of the original bid. So the amount that Carl has used to do additional things that have been discovered has been far exceeding what you've seen in the presentation today. But at the end of the day, you have that option. What we could do is just end the contract with Templeton, and we could go out and have this bid separately. But the company who did the prior work is the one who Templeton is recommending to do this work.
This was bid. Templeton did send it out to multiple bidders, so we'd be duplicating if we sent it out to rebid.
Well, I guess I'm confused.
I-
I thought we replaced or voted to replace the bridge a couple of years ago.
We didn't. What we talked about was if you remember, the structural support, all the metal was rusting because of the end cappings. And so what we voted to do, we had two options: to replace the whole bridge, the metal part, or to refurbish it. It was cheaper to refurbish it. Council voted to refurbish the bridge. When they did that first column you're seeing had some repair that was made at that time. When they took all the metal off of the bridge, replacing it, there were some additional things on the support columns that we noticed that needed to be done. Not the metal, but the concrete itself. And so that's the item that we're bringing forward today, is some additional work on the support concrete columns. Is that kind of it in a nutshell, David?
That's it. Yes.
And I guess, Mayor.
Go ahead.
David, my question is, what additional work? What are you talking about? We
This-
hear about the concrete column, but what would you do
Right.
to it?
The big concern right now is the T portion of the column that at the top that spreads out and supports the bridge. When you up close to it, if you saw the scaffolding the way it moved across, you could get right up there and you could see cracks that are just, right down from the point of pressure back, and it's just a matter of time. And tapping on it, you can hear it somewhat hollow. So their feeling is, and they did some kind of sound testing, to test it and verify that the steel in there is rusting and things are separating. So it's just a matter of time before we have, down at the bottom of the column, we had concrete that spalled off. That will eventually happen with these if we don't address that now. So what they would do, and similar to what we've done at the City Hall and what we did at the top and bottom of the column, you wrap it on the outside with a fiber mesh, and And that puts instead of having steel inside your column, now it's on the outside, and that gives you the support. So both of those will be wrapped continually around the top.
How old is that bridge?
I believe it was built in 82, 83.
At the time, go ahead. I was going to say, at the time, one thing that y'all did ask us to do was to look at whether there was any recourse on the city behalf on the company who built the bridge at the time. And I think legal did a lot of research on that, found that the company no longer exists, so forth and so on.
Right.
Sounded to me like it was a design defect.
For the bridge itself, the metal part, I think, why they left those end caps open, definitely. Now, I've heard stories that while this thing was being built, there's a problem with one of the columns kind of tilting or issues that was shored up. That's I guess, Carl says the extra pilings at the base were added to shore that up. So, I don't know if that was design or just poor craftsmanship on the contractor, but that was fixed at that point. So, we're faced with, I guess, still dealing with, the way they, and the engineer noted, with the steel that he could see that was exposed, that obviously there were some issues during the pour that maybe it was too cold and things shifted and things weren't set up right. So that's just, here we are 50 years later, we're fixing that.
Okay, well, I guess the question is, are there any other viable options, or is your proposal about what needs to be done to cure the problem? Obviously, the bridge has got to be made safe.
The steel portion of the bridge above is good for another 50 years. We've basically rebuilt it, got the decking on it. It's in good shape. It's the supports that are the issue at this point. We didn't investigate. I guess the other option would be to come in with different supports. We didn't investigate that at that time, with the belief that it'd be cheaper to shore up what we have.
And at the time that it was built, we didn't have a construction manager who inspected and oversaw things that was going, and we do now. Okay.
So David, even the idea of wrapping the columns, do you have a ballpark figure?
The cost is in there. It was 40 something.
Nearly 50,000.
Yeah, 47,984.
Okay.
Go ahead and talk about the decking, and then
okay,
have Mr. Wardlaw make a decision here.
Okay, so on the high pedestrian bridge, we replaced all the decking on that, and we used Brazilian hardwood. It's virtually impenetrable. You bury it in the ground, 15 years later, it may start to rot. It's 3 times harder than teak. The manufacturer's saying, 100-year lifespan. I've seen 50-year lifespan. It's very hard, durable. If you've felt it, held it, you'd understand, the density of the wood and the benefit we're getting. So we, when we realized there was some money available, and we hadn't really looked at either of these bridges when we started the project, but this low pedestrian bridge, the decking on that is in bad shape, so it needs to be replaced. So our thought was to go back with the same product we used on the high bridge. It's pricey, but I think you're going to get what you pay for in the lifespan and durability.
Can you contrast that with the recycled material for decks?
We did look at the Trex on the other bridge, and we had issues with, it's a thinner material, and the span of that bridge exceeded it. So we would have had to done some more, I guess, shoring, add some steel in so we could span that. It's a good product. But even then, I don't think it has the life expectancy of this wood. Okay. And I would assume that this bridge is about the same width. We would probably have the same issue. Maybe I think there was a thickness issue and then the bowing.
Okay.
Any other comments on council? Mr. Wardlaw?
Well, I don't know if there are any other viable options on the bridge surface, but $50,000 is awful. Obviously, sounds awful high to me.
And I don't know if there are any other viable options. I wish we could explore them if there are. To save a meaningful amount of money, if it's only going to be 40,000 or 35,000, maybe not. But that sounds awful high to me.
David, did they take bids on the
Yes,
same way
they-
on
they
this?
bid this one
So
out
they
as well.
took how many, the same number of bids approximately?
David, have y'all looked at the new coatings that they have for decks now? It's like the thicker, almost an elastomeric type.
Oh, it's like what you put in your truck bed liner, you know, that kind of gritty stuff.
It's an epoxy type.
Yeah, yeah. We didn't look at that. Any kind of coating, I worry about just, replacement and repair, having to redo. That, I think that could be an option if we wanted to look at a standard wood and then put that on top.
Somebody make a motion.
I'll move. I'll
make-
move to.
Go ahead, Johnny.
One of you move and the other one second.
I'll move to approve this change order on these bridges.
For both?
For both.
With the provision that, they research, that it does sound high, but we don't have to spend it because it's all there.
And research also, we can use some of that roofing from the Coliseum to do this while you're at it.
Second.
Maybe it'll float down the river, I don't know.
I do have a motion, I do have a second. Any further counsel? Has this been fully vetted, Mr. Wardlaw?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Do I have any comment from the public on this? Then I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Let's put a 7-0 on that one. Okay, now we are at number 18, which is consideration of approving a proposal for the operation of a public cruise paddle steamboat.
Not yet.
He's the one who couldn't come till 1 o'clock. I think it's
So what
got.
do y'all want to do? Do y'all want to just put this one off to another time since the guy couldn't come to 1? Do you want to go to lunch and take care of our executive and then come back and check the time?
Yes.
What's council's?
It's 11:18. If we break for lunch and take care of executive, we can get out of there in time to, hopefully, if he comes between 12:30 and 1, we can wrap it up.
Let's try that. That way maybe, yes, sir.
I have a very important meeting at 1 o'clock, and I'd like to be here for him. I mean, I've been here since 9 o'clock this morning. I'm sorry, I'm Danny Consul Cruises, the captain, manager, and et cetera. And there's all kinds of different issues that I would like to address y'all, but, I've got a very important meeting at 1 o'clock.
Well, you have been here since 9.
Yeah, I mean,
You've waited the time.
8:30, I've been here all morning waiting and waiting, and
Well, we can either go to executive and see if we can get through by noon and come back in here at 12. If the guy shows up, we can, Carl?
He won't be here till 1.
We can hear the proponent's side and then hear the,
Yeah.
the opponent's side now.
Just be back in here by 12:30 and let him go first.
Yeah, let him.
Okay, is that all right? Or if we can be back in here by 12, can we get you out of here? You can do it in 15, 20 minutes.
I've got to be at their office at 1 o'clock. That was just my big issue.
You need to leave by 15 till?
Yes, sir, at least.
Okay, if we can
Well,
be back
even-
in here by 12:20 or so and get this started and let you have time to say what you want to say. What's council telling me to do here on this one?
Here's what I propose.
Okay.
If you have to be at your meeting at 1 o'clock, then so be it. But if your dad, is that right?
Yeah, we both have to.
Oh, you both have. I was going to recommend that maybe your
No, I'm
dad
sorry.
could
I mean,
fill
we-
in.
No, we've been trying to get this meeting set up for the last 4 months. So I've,
Yeah, and then we'll.
Let's do this right now and let's hear their side.
Opposition now.
And then we can hear his side when,
We can
is that all right?
yes, sir, that's fine.
Let's do that.
Everybody, the one? Okay, we worked that one out. See how we compromise? This week, consideration of approving a proposal for the operation of a public cruise paddle wheel steamboat at Mary E. Lee Park, Lake Nasworthy, authorizing staff to negotiate an agreement between the city of San Angelo and Concho River Queen Cruises LLC. Brother White.
Mr. Fox has the main presentation, so I don't want to steal any thunder from him. But his proposal is to run a paddle wheel steamboat at Lake Nasworthy. And the title that he's going with at this point is Concho River Queen. This is what the boat looks like. He's proposing to do it at behind the Nature Center at Mary Lee Park. Concho Cruises operates here. He's proposing to operate here or here. And I don't want to steal his proposal, his presentation from y'all, but that's what his proposal is.
Okay, let's hear the opposition.
Mr. Nichols, would you come up and tell us what your opposition to this is so that we'll have your viewpoint on this?
And the terms would be similar to what Contra Cruises has.
Okay.
Our issue is, the first issue is, you know, we work night and day to build it, and more or less he's kind of running off our name and our clientele and everything else. And it's more of a hobby to him. This is what we feed our family and et cetera. I mean, this is our life. The second issue is he's moving, I mean, well, we measured to the back of the Nature Center is less than 500 feet. I mean, like I said, we built up the clientele. We've done everything in the world, and he just wants to come in and move in our front door. To me, it's not fair what we built. We went out there, we put in a lot of the electric, water, everything, and we've just worked so hard. The second issue is there's no way that two 14-foot boats are going to go up and down Concho River. I mean, I've been out there on that lake. We used to have Spring Creek Marina. I go on that lake every single day. We just can't do it. I mean, I'm not trying to steal the guy's dreams or whatever. The only thing we're trying to really request is different location, a different name. Another issue, I mean, it gets so congested right there. You have the Nature Center, you have the Bass Club, you have us, you have the beach. You put another business in right there, it's going to, I mean, it's already congested, weekends, holidays, and et cetera. I think it's just going to be, we're going to have more issues or, you know, stuff like that. Look, I just don't think it's fair. He's trying to run off our name. We're Concho Cruises, and here's this Concho River Queen. There's just so many different locations that he could go. Like I said, you know, different people telling me different things about that river. I go up and down that river almost every single day. There's no way two 14-foot boats are going to pass going up and down that Concho River. So we was, you know, there's all kinds of other areas on the other side of the lake. You know, we cannot go on the other side of the lake, and looking at his vessel, we don't think he'll be one on that side of the lake. That'd give everybody on that side of the lake opportunity to see the other side of the lake, and everybody with over here opportunities to see this side of the lake. Instead of putting both boats on this side of the lake, well, then nobody gets to see that side of the lake. So this way to give the public and everybody else that's coming in two opportunities. Well, we want to see this side of the lake. We want to see this side of the lake. We have friends that live over here. Let's go by and wave at them or et cetera, whatever. He's also talking about the, you know, the nature and et cetera. Well, I have videos. I've been on that lake, like I said, 25 years, almost every single day. I know when somebody's going to barbecue tonight and what they're going to have on their TV or et cetera. So, I mean, we're not trying to, we're doing the same thing that he's doing is what I'm basically trying to get at. And we've worked so hard to build what we have up there for somebody just to come in as a hobby when this is what we're feeding our kids and raising our families and putting them through school with. For somebody to just come in there and steal our, you know, what we built so hard for. I just don't believe it's fair. That's basically what I have.
Primarily, you don't like the name because he's too close to yours. You want a different name.
His is Concho River Queen, and we've called. Matter of fact, I've got a couple smaller pontoon boats that's called Concho River Queen.
Okay.
I mean, our business is Concho Cruises, so I feel that he'll be bleeding off us or however you want to.
And you don't like the location.
Well, not right in my front door.
And you're concerned about the logistics, the congestion and.
Well, ours is 16 or 60 by 14. From what we gather on
the area that you have leased is a 60 by 14.
Our boat that we do, okay. And there's no way you're going to get two boats down Concho River. There's passing each other. One of us has got to give.
Okay.
Unless you're a real good captain, you're not going to back up all the way down that river. And I've got my captain's license. I've had it for the last 4 years. And I cannot back up a 60-foot boat a mile and a half down that river. Well, I can, but it's going to take me most of the day.
Charlotte?
I remember when we voted to allow y'all to do this, and I went out and watched your construction and looked at it. I wasn't do an inspection, but I had some questions. You said that you put in water.
Put in the water. Well, I'm talking about sewer lines, water lines.
Right.
We spent
That's what I'm talking about.
tons of money
I
out there
saw
to
y'all-
get this thing up and going. I mean, when we started, we didn't have nothing.
Right. But
I
you
mean, a
put
dry piece of land. I've spent,
the utilities out to that
oh,
area.
God, yes.
Yeah, I saw where you were digging, and I
Yes.
questioned that, so, and it was, but
electric,
you've already
water, I
put
mean,
all of that out.
phone, I mean, everything, docks. We've put in a lot of money for this guy to just come out here, or my opinion, you know, to come right next door to us and say, okay, to bleed all, or whatever, more or less come off my name or our name or whatever you want to say and move in my front door. It's to me, it's not fair.
Council, have any more questions for Mr. Nichols?
I don't have any for Mr. Nichols. I have some for staff.
Okay.
You
Go
want me to
ahead.
go ahead? One of my questions is, and I don't really know who to address this to, we just got through paying for $300 and some odd $1,000 in plans for the lake and what needs to be done around there. How does this fit in? And number two, and Rodney may can answer this one,
question.
how does the neighborhood, the association, those sort of things feel about another one running out there?
I think the neighborhood was all right with it, and the main reason why they wanted that location was that the parking and everything is better there than it would be in other areas over on the other side. So I'm in agreement with the name. I don't like the name either, and I don't think that that would be an appropriate thing because you have built up that name. But it's hard for me to say not to let someone else come in there. But
Well, I'm not, no, like I said, I want him to come. I mean, I think it is better for the community, for San Angelo to draw other people in.
yeah,
I'm just not saying right in my front door.
yeah, but that's
I
the
mean,
best location.
well, we would support him 100%. I mean, if you got a smaller crowd, because on our boat, a private party, we've at least got to have 10 or more to go out. So, you know, if somebody comes up and says, hey, there's a party of 6. Well, yeah, I would recommend that, you know, hey, go over here, because he's talking about smaller crowds and stuff like that. No, I'll support him all the way. There's different locations besides right up my, you know. it's
Concerned
just-
about the congestion and the traffic.
Right. I mean, like this week.
All of it being beehived right there, so a little
Right.
more space, so, and you can't answer my question, but I am curious as to how much water it's going to take to run the steamboat, so, but the other gentleman can answer that.
Well, it
They don't
doesn't-
use river water.
No, they use
No.
distilled water.
They use distilled water. I mean, it's, they're gonna have
No,
to
it
have
actually
fresh
runs
water.
off of oil.
Use motor
water.
oil.
They use distilled water, it's a boiler.
No, it's oil. It's recycled oil, I believe, the way he explained it to me.
It will use some water the way, well, I've done a little research on it also. She is correct. There will be certain, I don't know the figures, but the main engine runs off used motor oil.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I think it's a boiler that heats the water.
Yes,
He
sir.
uses
Yes, sir,
the-
Mayor.
He uses the oil to heat the water in the boiler.
Right.
Yeah.
So
the
he
water
will be
does
using
vaporize.
distilled water in the boiler, but he will use, and he's talking about recycled oil
Yes.
to make the heat, to heat the water. So it'll use oil and water.
Like I said, I can't answer a bunch of it. I've done a little research. That's his side. But our only issues, like I said, was, you know, right next to us and our name, or, you know, more or less running off our name. But we're back. I mean, if he would have came to us and said, hey, what do you suggest, this and this, I would have gave him a lot of pointers. I haven't even met the man. I mean, he could have said, hey, what do you think? What do you know, help me. Well, we could have sat down, and I would have been more than happy. Well, okay, we did this works, this doesn't work, da-da-da-da. But I haven't even met him. To me, that's disrespect.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Danny, I know your boat, you said you cannot go under the Memorial Bridge.
No, sir.
Okay.
It's too
Now,
low.
if he can, Rick
Can
or
he?
somebody help me out, is there anything?
He's modifying it.
Is there anything on the other side, on the, I guess, east side of the bridge that this new person could park, exactly? I mean, you
Well,
got a lot.
you know, I've drove around there. To me, there's a lot of areas that would be really nice. Matter of fact, I believe it was yesterday, we kind of drove around and had some ideas all down South Concho back in there. There's some real nice, or in my opinion, real nice locations.
There are options along there that we could research.
Further questions, further comments, council? Everybody got it, sir?
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
We thank you very
All right,
much.
thank y'all so
And
much.
we'll get to this. We can go on into executive, and as soon as we get back, we'll take it up. And when he gets here, and we know what you want, we'll make a decision then. Thank you, Nichols. All right, then, it is 11:31. Y'all ready to break for an executive so we can get in and get out? Let me read the executive. Executive session under the revision of Government Code Title V, Open Government Ethics, Subtitle A, Open Government, Chapter 551, Open Meetings, Subchapter D, exceptions to requirement that meetings be open under the following section, Section 551072, to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property regarding 1, airport property, and 2, West Texas Christian Foundation property, a.k.a. Christian Village. I think, did I understand you, Daniel, that you're leaving? Okay, so will we not discuss the Christian Village in our executive?
That's an item that's being tabled anyway. They're having a board meeting on Thursday.
Okay.
To discuss what was proposed, and then we'll come back and meet next week.
Okay, we will be tabling then the executive session on the West Texas Christian Foundation, aka Christian Village. They are having a board meeting, and they will discuss, and there's been some proposals. So that one will be postponed until another time, but we will be talking about the airport property. When we come back, Daniel will not be with us. He has a meeting in Dallas, a water meeting he's going to. And Austin to a water meeting. It's 11:32. We are now in executive. Okay, let's call this meeting back to order at 12:21. And we just completed one half of the paddle boat problem, or the paddle boat opportunity.
Okay.
And we have heard the opponents, and they had a meeting at 1 o'clock. They had to leave. So now let's open it up to the proponents.
All right.
Pardon me?
What was the time?
12:21.
There he is.
Are you ready, Carl?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, buddy. I got ahead of you.
Wrong one. There we go. Good afternoon, council, mayor, councilperson Farmer, gentlemen. My name is Mac Fox. I welcome today's opportunity to come before you to present to you a proposal for a waterborne boat attraction for Lake Nasworthy that I think would make an excellent addition to our community and to help broaden some of the opportunities that already exist at Lake Nasworthy for recreation. I also see that this proposal would give people who especially do not own a boat a chance to enjoy the lake like they cannot do unless they take advantage of the other cruise business that's at the lake, or if they rent a boat or join friends that do have a boat. This will give them a way to see the lake from that water perspective. What I am proposing is to bring a truly unique vessel that is a one-of-a-kind vessel to San Angelo to showcase primarily the lake's origins, its history, the history of the Concho River. Also to focus on the ecological uniqueness of Lake Nasworthy and the flora and fauna that exists there, and to also heighten people's awareness to water conservation, which is clearly high on a lot of our agendas right now with the situation in the city. And like I said previously, to add to the offerings that we have at the lake. My business name, I would propose to be called Concho River Queen Cruises, LLC. The boat, I intend to christen the boat once I bring it to San Angelo. I'd like to call her the Concho River Queen. She is a side wheel paddle steamer of 38 feet in length, 15 and a half feet wide. She has two 7-foot paddle wheels on either side of the vessel. She is made of all-steel construction. She was constructed in 1983 by a man by the name of Mr. David Sarlin out of California. He built the engine first, and we'll talk about that in just a second, and then he built the boat to accommodate this one-of-a-kind engine. The vessel was his until he unfortunately died of cancer at about 1994. In 95, his family sold the vessel to the gentleman who currently owns it now up in Bay City, Michigan, by the name of Captain Ed Morris. Captain Morris is the gentleman who now has the boat up for sale. He is getting on in years and would like to find a new steward.
Mr. Fox?
Yes, sir.
We're going to be out of here by 1 o'clock.
You
We
got it.
already decided that.
Gotcha. I'll have you out of here on time,
Okay.
sir.
And we
All
have
right.
a couple more items to talk about.
Okay. Here is a picture of the vessel as she is docked at her place during the summer seasons up in Bay City. The boat has a unique engine design called a walking beam engine, which the interesting fact about this for this discussion is this is the only operational vessel of this kind anywhere in the world with a walking beam engine. This was the predominant marine engine design in the United States from about 1860 till about 1910. She's got the only large-scale engine like this currently operational in the world. There's a picture of the engine actually inside the engine room. I propose to bring the boat here, make some changes to the boat so that she can accommodate 20 passengers for regular excursion business, and then so that she has a uniquely luxurious appointment for private charters on the stern for parties. This is a view of the dock configuration that I'm currently in negotiations to purchase, should things go forward from this point. All of this dock will be purchased by me and installed at the proposed site that I would like to have your consideration for. There's a view of Lake Nasworthy. Here are the two possible sites that I have in mind that would work well for this business. I took a long time, since April of last year, to kind of research where on the lake an opportunity like this could operate from. Clearly, location is a primary concern, but the private landowners that I spoke to, well, the one I spoke to did not want to have any auxiliary businesses operating from their site. One private landowner simply just did not return my inquiries. So I then had to start looking at places where city access could be available. These are the two sites. They are located primarily, for point of reference, it exists between the San Angelo Nature Center and the current location of Concho Cruises, the boat pool there. My proposed recommendation would be to go with Site A, which would be a 50-foot section of lakefront, 70 feet deep. That would be from the current lakeshore spot up to the parking lot. So a 50 by 70 plot of land. I see my business having a very small footprint out there because this is focused on just having one boat in my operation. The second site would be a site down just behind the Nature Center. This would be a good spot from the standpoint that there is already a concrete embankment there that would make an excellent base for the dock configuration to operate off of. But I'm concerned that maybe we might be encroaching upon the Nature Center if they do any expansion in their plans in the near future. Here's what I'm proposing. I'm proposing to have a business that is primarily a excursion-based waterborne ride, giving people a chance to go out on the lake and take a short 50-minute tour of Lake Nasworthy. And from my research, I've found 3 different particular routes that could be used in that 50-minute circumnavigation of different parts of the lake. I would also propose to do private charters in addition to these excursions, but my private charter is different than the operation that is already at the lake, like Concho Cruises, is that my boat at its maximum capacity for charters would only take 12 people. There's only limited space on my boat. It's much smaller than the other boats that are there. But on hourly excursions, it would be a passenger capacity of 20 people. I see my high season being from April through September. I'm currently a school teacher with SAISD, and I intend to continue that capacity. And so I'm seeing this as the additional job that I have on Saturdays and Sundays, most during the school year. And then during the summers, when I have extra time, I would like to see if we can expand our hours to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Our 50-minute excursion, like I said, would take 20 passengers. I have 3 crew. It'd be a captain on the bridge. There would be an engineer to operate the steam engine, and there would be a deckhand on board the boat. I would also be employing a ticket booth person to do my ticket sales. Private charters, like I said before, 2 to 12 people, again with a 3 to 4 person crew. I am not planning to sell alcoholic beverages. That is a income stream I don't want to take advantage of. It's a lot of insurance obligation that I don't want to deal with. So I'm just going to be selling miscellaneous merchandise like bottled water, sodas, maybe some souvenir caps, t-shirts, that kind of thing. When it's all said and done, this is kind of an artist's conception of what I see bringing to San Angelo. A one-of-a-kind boat ride on our lake that is unlike anything in this area, and a boat that can also service both sides of the lake. I've already done some measurements and some research, and our little steamboat here will be able to go on both the east and the west side of the lake, which I think will be an added asset to the lake. And that's my presentation. Happy to answer any questions I can.
Council?
Yes. Okay, Mac, a couple of questions that he brought up beforehand was, one, he was worried about being able to pass you in the river canal down there, both boats. His boat is 14 foot wide, yours is 15 and a half foot wide. Do you see concerns with that?
Not from the standpoint, if his vessel is away from his operation, clearly I will be aware that he's out transiting his route. I don't see that if we both come, we have rules of right-of-way in the Texas Parks and Wildlife regulations for the operation of party barges or vessels. There will be right-of-way. If he's coming down the river channel towards the main body of the lake, I can hold back, give him plenty of room.
So you don't see any problem with that?
I don't see any problem.
I'm just going to address these things that he said so that we can go
It's a
through
valid concern. If I know, I see us building a relationship, I hope, that if I know his boat is out and he calls me on the radio or the phone, says I'm headed up, the main channel towards the spillway, I don't intend to, in my normal route traffic, going up either of the river bends unless maybe it's a private charter, and that would be depending upon conditions. If it's a busy Saturday afternoon and that lake is full of boaters, I got no business taking my boat up Horseshoe Bend.
Okay.
It's not safe. If I know he's out and he's servicing a charter, there's no business for me to take anybody up towards the spillway. My typical tour will go up to where the fork is and then turn around and come back. Right there across from Spring Creek RV Marina. Normal excursions won't go up that
And just
far.
for clarification, it's really wide right there, so I don't see any problem with two boats passing there.
That joining there of the where, if the right here would be, I didn't know if I can zoom in on this or not, but right there's room to turn around.
Right, for
And
both
clearly,
boats.
yeah, both boats. We wouldn't put both boats in a tight space.
The next thing that he said that he really had a problem with, and I think there might be some council members that have a problem with this, is the name.
Okay.
And I kind of see his point on this. I mean, he has been there for a while and he has done that. I'm just asking you this.
Sure.
I would prefer to make this easier and to kind of get along with everybody. I would like, since you haven't purchased the boat yet and you haven't painted signs, I would like for you to come up with another name. And I think that would help get this process through. That's one of his big objections. Actually, I think it was his biggest objection, wasn't it?
Okay, let me seek clarification. How much of the name does he have?
No concho.
No concho.
No concho.
No concho. Okay.
His other 2 boats are
Yeah,
named
he had
Concho
some
Green.
little paddle boat, just those little paddle boats. They have that painted on them.
Okay.
One of them does. So I guess, and that's what he's telling us. I just want to make this, because I want you. Where I stand on this. I want you to be out there, but also I want to make everybody as best I can get along. The third thing that he had was the location. And I like location A, but I think location B would be better for him because I think it pushes you away a little further. I don't foresee us doing any kind of an expansion out there at the Nature Center. We're trying to figure out how to get the Nature Center out of there. So I think B would bet. I think if you could make it work, and I think it actually would be better for you to tie into the cement footing there than it would be to the rocks.
There are advantages to either of those two sites. My primary hesitancy on Site B was just so I wouldn't encroach upon the Nature Center, and that was my main concern there. Site B, I clearly see some definite advantages as far as anchorage and tying in my dock so that it's stable. At that spot, the water depth there at the levels when I checked a couple of months ago were still sufficient for the operation. I don't see a problem with Site B if that becomes a site that's more agreeable for everyone. It is closer to some other things I'd like to have. Parking is a bit of a concern for Site B because the parking on the east side of the Nature Center very quickly becomes that it belongs to the old Lake Nasworthy Marina property. So the patrons would have to park in that main parking lot and then come around the corner of the Nature Center on dirt. I guess we'd have to relook at maybe some pathway for them to walk to come.
And signage. If you could just do signage, I think that would be the main thing.
Site B, I could probably work with Site B as well as Site A.
I think that would make him more happy. I know it's not going to make him happy. He really wants you on the other side of the lake. And I really think that you do need to be on this side of the lake, but I prefer that you go to B just to give a little bit more cushion room to him. So I'm totally in favor of I would like to make a motion that we approve this and move forward as long as you would change the name from Concho. Just take Concho out of it. And move to Site B.
In light of 75 other businesses in the phone book with Concho
You know what,
in the
I'm
name?
just going by,
I know,
one of my constituents once is asking for this, and I can kind of see his point, and I think that there were other members of the council that saw his point also.
Would the council see the same objection coming from this gentleman if it was Concho River Queen Tours?
I don't think he wants Concho.
I don't think he wants Concho.
He doesn't want Concho. Okay.
You might be Nasworthy.
Nasworthy River Tours.
Nasworthy Queen.
Okay. I've got some name alternates that I've been playing with in my head.
I'm just trying to make everybody happy on this deal. And
believe me, I want a agreeable and workable associate. If the council gives me the honor of moving this project forward, I definitely want an agreeable, amenable relationship with all my neighbors, including him. Because in my mind, both businesses stand to gain if one gains.
And he said that before, that he can't take the smaller groups, so he's saying that he would hopefully move those groups over to you, and I hope that he would be able to do that, and then vice versa. When they have a large group, you just move them
Large
over
group that can't fit on my boat, I would love to say, well, we've got another outfit out here that can do you. Concho Cruises got that nice big double-decker boat. It's perfect. What's good for business in his cruise business would be good for business for my cruise business. I agree. Name change, I'm agreeable to work on things.
Well, I'll clarify it.
Yeah.
I'd move that we accept the proposal as long as you take out the name Concho and we go to location B.
I'll second.
You'll second that same?
Yes.
Any further? Charlotte?
I don't have any problem with competition
Yes, ma'am.
whatsoever, but I think when I talked to you on the phone when you called, I was curious as to how much water per day, fresh water, that you needed for your steam to heat your oil, and I really would like an answer to that. Is
Yes,
how
ma'am.
much water per cruise or per day that you plan on using, and where do you plan on getting it?
Okay. The boiler that this boat has on board, it's a Bryan boiler. So what we call a water tube boiler. That means the water is circulated through the tubes, the fire is around the tubes. I went to the manufacturer to get that information. This boiler holds 36 gallons of water. There is 110 reserve gallons of water aboard the boat to feed that boiler. The boiler and the engine run condensing, which means the exhaust steam goes through a condenser and is then condensed back into water, and then it's circulated into a hot well, and then that feeds back into the boiler. So the actual amount of water that would be consumed from Lake Nasworthy, as a general rule, would be negligible, if any at all, because the manufacturer is recommending that either distilled or treated water be ran in this boiler so you don't have a scaling issue with the pipes. And I know that the current owner does run a treated water in that boiler. So we'll continue to do this. So the 110 gallons of water that's reserved will be distilled water or rainwater capture that I'll capture with my own cistern at home off of my house and run in that boat. So I don't plan to tap into using water directly out of the lake unless absolutely necessary, which would be a...
So you're not going to run water to your ticket stand, or you're not going to provide restroom facilities or anything like that?
There is a head or a porta potty situation on board the vessel, but as far as the actual ticket booth and the waiting area, I had not planned on having a public restroom there.
And how many years' experience of captaining a boat or a vessel with others on board do you have?
With others, like in a charter capacity?
Yes.
None.
Okay.
Okay. I do have 2.5 years of owning a steam vessel when I lived in Chicago. I had a 30-foot steam launch with a 2-cylinder reciprocating 1910 12-horse engine, and I had a fire tube boiler on there that I fired with oak wood. I had that for 2.5 years in Chicago. So the actual knowledge of how to operate a steam engine, I've got about 2 years' experience there.
I think my main question is knowing how to maneuver and captain a boat with people running to one side or the other, and controlling, the people so that you don't have a situation. And are the employees that would be on the boat, are they trained in first aid? I mean, I don't know this, so I need to ask.
I would think that would be a very, I have not, to be frank with you, gotten to the point of coming up with my employee procedures. I would think that would be prudent. We all operating vessels that operate for public conveyance on a lake in the state of Texas have to meet the party barge operators licensing requirements by the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. Myself and my chief engineer will both be going through that certification process so that we have all the certification in place so that our insurance underwriters have their requirements in place. Normally, the procedure with a charter vessel like this, when you're giving tours, people don't stand up, walk around. All people on my boat will be required to stay seated when that vessel is under operation.
Here are my concerns.
Yes,
We've
ma'am.
got a study of the area out there and what we should attract and where we should put, et cetera, and so forth. I've not had the opportunity to discuss with Parks. The location where you want is highly congested. The traffic on that curve, it concerns me. It's always concerned me. It's fast traffic, and that parking lot fills up so fast with trailers and pickups, and it's just a dangerous situation now. So to add more to it, I've got a concern. I think it's a great idea if we could check a different location, possibly around by the Spring Creek Marina or on the other side of the lake where the old firing range used to be. The city owns land there and a dock built there that would take it across the lake, but it spreads out the recreation a little more instead of congesting it all in one area, and that is my concern right there.
I think you have a very valid concern. My hope was that this becomes one of those discretionary recreational activities, especially those who go to the beach, the public beach out there, especially in the summertime, would choose to maybe take the kids on, which they would already be out there. So the visibility within the proximity of the public beach and the other areas that already designated for like commercial public access, I thought that those locations would be the most advantageous to my success. The other locations on the lake, while I'm open-minded to that, I am concerned as a potential business owner if I would get the visibility that would cause that discretionary decision, oh, we had a great day at the lake, let's go take a ride on the steamboat. That's what I'm hoping, but
well, if
I'm sensitive to your concerns.
I'm going to tell you that I'm all for your idea, and I think it's a great idea, but I am concerned about the congestion. I am concerned about the traffic that's already there, it's overloaded. I'm definitely opposed to the name. I'd rather see something connect with Nasworthy or
Okay.
a captain or someone that was famous, out at the base. There's so many names and options that you could do. And, I'm going to vote against it for those reasons. And I'm just going to tell you right up front, it has
Okay.
nothing to do with the business. I like the idea. I don't like the location. I just want to spread our recreation out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments, council? Don?
One of the things, have you taken into consideration the lake levels?
Yes, sir.
And I don't want to throw cold water on you in any shape, form, or fashion, but I'd hate to see you invest lots of money in this and then, our lake without rains continually falling. Have you thought about that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have.
All right.
And
does that thing go in the mud?
It only draws 30 inches of water, so as long as I've got that much, we can
go.
float her. And since she's a paddle steamer, she can not have to worry about that prop. From the very beginning, my family has kept me mindful of the way the water situation has gotten in San Angelo. I am confident that there's a lot of things that I can address and change and try to plan for. Whether the good Lord sends us rain, I can't do that. I will make a successful business as long as I can, as long as there's water. If that day comes and we have no water and we can't float her and we can't provide an attractive entertainment option for the lake, I guess we'll have to close up shop. And I'm aware of that financial
Good.
exposure. Yes, sir.
And once again, I'm going to ask about the previous council had $300,000 worth of plan out here. How does this fit into that?
We had a, I'm sorry, Mayor, should I
Go
go ahead? We had a meeting on that yesterday evening. The question becomes what action follows the creation of the plan. In other words, the plan shouldn't go on the shelf and gather dust. We had a discussion about that with the Gateway folks yesterday, and we will be following up within several weeks with council about the possibility of moving ahead in an effort to solicit whether or not there is interest in various locations for project. Would a developer like to put a hotel or a resort or a restaurant, or depending on the location?
Well, and therein is my concern. I don't want him, like we were talking a while ago, the city to say, yeah, go, and then him invest his good hard-earned money, and us all of a sudden say, well, no, you've got to back up and go somewhere else. I don't think that's right.
That could be an issue. If for example, there was interest expressed by a developer to do something in that area and it required a relocation of a dock or a business, that would be something that would have to be worked out. And depending on what kind of interest was expressed, that could be complementary to an existing business or detrimental. And the possibility that the business might have to be moved 500 feet up or down the bank one way or another, I think exists. And so it's a valid concern, and we really don't have a solid answer except that the possibility that a developer would bring more traffic in might actually be an advantage to all the businesses in the area.
Well, and once again, I don't want you to spend your hard-earned money and then, at the 11th hour something bites you is my concern with all this. And so I hope you understand it's no reflection on you whatsoever. So.
Well, and when you're talking about our plan and you're talking about a hotel or something, and someone investing several $1 million, I think the lake level is going to be a lot more of a concern to them than it is to Mr. Fox. So, I think he's got a good plan. I think you went through Angelo State and they kind of shot holes or at you. And
yeah, I've been working with the ASU Business Development Center since April, as far as the numbers, and that was the first hurdle. Once I knew that we had the depth that we needed to operate the boat, and when I knew that we could clear the bridge and service both sides of the lake, then we went and started crunching numbers. From the very beginning, the gateway process was already being decided by council in public hearings. My hope is that we have enough water that a developer can see that property that is currently designated as commercial zoning right at that particular plot, which we're discussing, that kind of prosperity comes to our city. And I would love to see our vessel already have an established following and endearmentship to the community and to the lake, that just having a spot for her to tie up and do business from could be within that fabric of what we hope would like to see at Lake Nasworthy.
Yeah, so I think it's our responsibility whether or not to lease him the land, and I think from there on, he's on his own, so.
Johnny?
Max, I apologize, I wasn't able to meet with you the other day.
Sure, I understand.
I think the one comment that I have is, along with Don's, about the gateway idea of the planning for that area. But two, also, I know that there's a motion in a second, but I caution us that that we don't jump the gun, because if we're talking about you possibly changing names, and you said you've got some ideas in the back of your head or some other names, I would rather much have you bring that forward with maybe site beneficial to you. I guess it was site B, maybe further away. But then before I'm willing to vote on it, I would rather, and I'm just, if it goes through, it goes through. But I would rather have something more in concrete on the ideas of what you could change to make this work.
Name or site?
Name. Well, site, I think we have an idea.
Okay.
But even the name.
Name? If I had to just spitball it right now, things that I have thought about in anticipation of some objection that might arise for this. The boat was originally called the Thule Princess when she was built. Thule being the species name for what we call bulrushes, bull reeds, that are quite common out at the lake. It has kind of dawned on me that there may be a great deal of homage that could be paid to the original owner, builder of this vessel, if maybe she reverts back to that name, since that particular type of flora is part of this lake. She could be called the Thule Princess. She could be called the Nasworthy Princess. The West Texas Queen. I mean, it's only you're only limited by your creativity. The business name, doing business as, we could change that. That is not, I'm not absolutely tied to calling it Concho River Queen Cruises. I mean, I can flex. That was my first idea. We can flex on that. But definitely, we can come up with some sort of name change.
And I think the move that Rodney, I think that's reflected.
Yeah. He objected to the Concho.
Yeah.
I think if we just say, don't put Concho in there in any form, and then pick whatever you want that fits your business.
Yeah. And that's
I
reflected
think we're
in the
already
motion.
it's hard. I kind of don't like us even telling you what to do, but I'm afraid that there could be some lawsuits, there could be some other things that could come along, and it would just be better if we just stopped it now.
And just a reminder, we're asking council if you want staff to negotiate an agreement, which would have to come back to council with the details and the terms.
Oh, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, I expect we will be back before you with the final lease. I would assume that y'all would have the final say if the lease goes to execution. We're just hoping to get your okay to put that together.
Mr. Dane?
One of the things that Councilman Vardaman mentioned was concern about the uncertainty of the future of the Gateway project. Don, is there some kind of language you'd like to see negotiated in the contract, some kind of an acknowledgement that this process is going on, and that do you have any advice for staff as they work on this?
Well, my only thing is I just don't want us to spend $300,000 first of all, plus, and then have the thing shelved. And second of all, I don't want us to allow a small businessman to invest his hard-earned dollars and thus then us preempt him. I think that leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth for us to do that. And so I just want to make sure, we don't do something like that.
I think what I'm hearing is that you want to make sure that both parties go in with their eyes wide open.
Absolutely.
To the possibilities and the limitations associated with creating an agreement.
Yes.
You got both eyes wide open?
Yes, I do. My only add to that point would be when I looked at a city lease option, I wanted it to fit where the Gateway people kind of said this is where commercial usage and development should be. We go too many other places on the lake, we're going to be dealing with, private ownership in close proximity. We're going to deal with, if it's further upriver, the space for getting in and out of docking is going to be more congested for that vessel to operate in, whereas right now, either of these two, Site A or Site B, is open on the main body of the lake so that we're not crowded by other people or us crowding other people as we're coming in to safely load and offload passengers. That was why this site, along with being the most visible, were the ones that I tended towards.
Well, I think it's your prerogative to pick the site you want, because all those lots out there belong to the city, and no one has a monopoly on any of them. So that's your business. Do I have any public comment on this? Motion has been made that we accept this with the caveat that Concho would not be in the name, and with the hope that you would choose Site Plan B.
That he would choose Site.
Huh?
That he would choose Site.
That it would choose Site B.
Negotiations with staff.
It's negotiation. We're not.
Yeah,
approving this.
we're just approving negotiations.
Approving
We're not
the
approving the
negotiations.
contract.
Yeah.
But those are two of the negotiating points
Yes.
that we want in it.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay? There's no further discussion. I'm going to call for the vote. All of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
One nay. Okay, put 6-1 on that one, please, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Fox.
Thank you, Council.
Yeah, that won't take long. Let's, okay, it's 1 o'clock. Do we want to stand up 30 minutes and take care of this? We want to go home. Let's do it. Let's get number 19 out of the way. Discussion of 214-219 capital improvement plan. Ms. Morgan? Put it in overdrive.
Good afternoon. I'm absolutely in overdrive. I will pull this up. I spoke last meeting at the public comment just to let the folks know at home about the public forums, and that's my primary goal today. Y'all have your background. You've read it. We just wanted y'all to know that we're working through the CIP process. We don't have a draft document to present to you yet, but we will shortly. We're going to have a draft before the public this Thursday and next Tuesday. And so we're going to get lots of public comment, get all of that reported back to you, and have one more discussion before we propose it for adoption on the 18th. So that's kind of our calendar, our timeline, is we wanted to let you know that we're working on it, that we are having some good submissions already. We're going to get this public comment turned into y'all so you know what we're hearing in the public, and hopefully adopt it 30 days from today.
Everybody comfortable? Marty?
I would just like to say, can we have her like third on the agenda next time? She's always at the end, and we're always saying, hurry, hurry, hurry. And I'd just like for her to have her chance to
How much
be kind
longer
of
would you have
front one
taken
time.
had I not shoved you?
Maybe 5 minutes.
Oh, well, sorry.
How long is that meeting going to be on Thursday? 'Cause we
It'll
have
be
enough-
as long as it takes. We're grateful to stay for as long as the public wants to stay. Generally, they last about an hour. We've rarely had it last more than an hour. So even with a strong constituency showing up of about 85 to 100 people, we still have not spent more than an hour.
Okay. We have another meeting at 6.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. Any further comment? This was discussion only just to bring us up to speed, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Let's move on to number 20. First public hearing, consideration of introducing an ordinance amending the 2013-14 budget for capital projects, grants, incomplete projects. An ordinance of the City of San Angelo amending the budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2013, ending September 30, 2014, for capital projects, grants, incomplete projects. Jeremy Miller.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. I have for your consideration today 5 routine items. On your memo there, Exhibit A contains the legal language, but if you'll turn to the next page for the additional information, that's where I'll spend most of my time today. I'll go through each of the 5 items individually. First, we have for your consideration the replace lost or damaged traffic equipment from claims. The source of funding for this will be the claims reimbursement. It's a routine item that we reimburse from our risk management fund. The revenue for this would be $60,000, as well as the expense side would be $60,000. Moving on to the next item, this is kind of the same one, to replace damaged fire department equipment from claims. It's also a routine reimbursement from our risk management fund. The source of funding will be the claims reimbursement, the revenue, $6,516, as well as the expense of $6,516. The next one will be for the Health Department RLSS restoration funds. This was approved by council on October 15th to restore the RLSS grant. This money is used primarily for salary and benefits. The source of funding for this item will be the Department of State Health Service grant, with the revenue being $26,601 and the expense side $26,601. The next item is the employee raises for general fund dependent divisions. Raises were approved by council after the budget ordinance was adopted, so an amendment is necessary to execute these raises. This small amount needs council's approval to move amounts between operating funds. The amount would be $71,453 from the general fund expense, and the expense side would be $71,453. And this amount was included in the $812,000 that was approved by council previously. I just need your help moving between the funds. The last item will be for health insurance premiums. This item was approved by council on December 3rd to buy down their premium expenses. The source of funding for this one will be the general fund budgeted revenue over expenditures, also known as a rainy day fund. The amount of revenue on this one will be $183,702, with the expense of $367,404. And this is the only item I have that does have a net cost, but it was approved by council. I'd be happy to provide any additional information or answer any specific questions that you might have.
This is primarily just housekeeping.
Yes, sir.
Any council comments on this? Anybody want to move to approve? We do need to. Yeah, it has to be approved.
Move approval.
Second.
Marty? And then I got a second from Charlotte. Any other further discussion? Public discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, nay. Put a 7-0 on that one. Thank you, Jeremy. Number 21, discussion, possible action related to the impact of the current drought level restrictions and the sustained financial performance of the Water Operating Fund. Tina Bonnell. And I hate that this one comes up, but this is something that we've got to face. It's a reality. We ask our people to conserve, they conserve, and then we don't sell water, and we're getting red on the budget.
Exactly. And that's kind of here. Sorry. Hi, Mayor. Thank you, council members. Glad to be here today, and that's kind of why we're here, is just to give you an update on the condition of the water fund and some trends in revenue that we're seeing in the last few years. Like you said, we've been asking people to conserve water, which leads to less water sales revenue. On this chart, we have depicted, this is at the end of January for each of the last 5 years, and you can see that we're trending downward as far as revenue is concerned. Between 2013 and 2014, we saw a decrease of about $900,000 in billed revenue. This next slide just shows our typical fiscal year. We usually expect to sell less water in the winter months, and we usually tend to make up for that in the summer months. You know, one of our concerns is that this summer we may not make up for that revenue this year. We could go into drought level 3. We just don't know. So while we've been able to make up for that in past years, our concern is that we may not be able to do that in this fiscal year. So we just wanted to give you some options as to what our options would be if we want to try to help the water fund out a little bit this year.
Tina, can
yes,
I
sir.
ask, what was the impact last year of, what was the net impact last year of no water sales?
To
Or
the
low water
to the
sales?
water fund balance?
Yes.
Right. So our water fund balance decreased this past year by $994,000.
So you had a net loss
That's
last year?
unaudited, but that's what we're seeing right now. Yes.
All right.
So we're $1 million.
That was our
in the
net
red.
loss. Yes, sir, and that hit our fund balance. So.
I like to see this capital improvement, capital projects, that we might be able to transfer some money from capital improvements to operating to balance this out.
Right, we could either transfer it, or we could just stop that transfer at this point in the year, that would be up to council discretion. That would be one of our options.
Further reduce expenditures.
Okay.
Can you go through these options for
I
us
sure
briefly?
can. We could obviously do nothing further, and we would likely see more than $1 million decrease to our water fund balance this year. Right now, our operating budget shows at the end of the year we should have $3 million in our fund balance. But, you know, with further decrease, we expect to see more than $1 million lost this year. So that would further decrease our fund balance, obviously. Also, we could further reduce expenditures. I've talked with Ricky Dixon quite a bit about this, and he was able to reduce his expenditures quite a bit last year, but that would obviously further impact the service level that we're able to provide.
Tina, what is the difference between last year's original budget and this year's original budget?
He did cut his budget from last year to this year by $600,000.
Okay. So that's when you say further reduce.
Right.
There's already been a $600,000 reduction in
Yes,
his
sir.
budget.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yes. Nice work, Ricky. Thank you.
So, third option would be to increase water rates. I think that would probably be the least popular alternative. If you'd like a picture of what that looks like, we bill about $35,000, or 35,000 customers a month, so potentially that would be about $400,000 a year if you were to add $1 to the base rate, or, you know, $1 to each person's bill.
So we'd need about $3 to make it up?
Just to make up for last year. Yeah. And we expect to possibly have a bigger loss this year, so, you know, $5 would be about $2 million.
You know,
for the
it's
year.
coming to the time when these people are spending $200 a month to have their little iPhones that they play with, and they're spending $50 a month for water. I think that's about to change.
Well, I see that we have a windfall of $240,000, but I don't know that we can spend it in water money. I'll have to consult with Mr. Dane.
We can talk about that.
Okay.
Windfalls are good. That's a good topic. We need more of those. What is this last bullet point? Can you help us understand?
So we currently dedicate a portion of our water billing receipts to capital improvement projects. We have a separate fund for that where it's accounted for. So one of the options would be to temporarily not transfer that amount over to the CIP water fund. You know, that would be up to council discretion. You could do it temporarily as to just the fiscal year until a certain point in, you know, our water levels. You know, there's lots of options. Of course, that would require a change to the ordinance to do that.
So you're saying we would suspend the creation or start of any new water capital projects that weren't essential to supply issues.
Right.
For a period of time, and take that money that's ordinarily dedicated for capital and use it on a temporary basis in the operating fund.
Exactly.
And the benefit to this is that people are already paying this.
They're already
in their rates.
accustomed to this rate. Exactly.
It supplements the water operating side without asking the ratepayers to pay more money.
Well, if we could push this down the road for 6 months and give us an opportunity to get rainfall.
Right, and that's what
then
we're
this will
seeking
work
is just a
itself out.
temporary, you know, just to help the water fund out for a little bit until they can get back on their feet and start selling some water.
And if in 6 months, if it doesn't rain, then it may be time to look at some water rate increases anyway.
That's an option, definitely.
Mayor, is that the last of your slides?
Yes, sir.
Do you need action today?
I don't need action, but we're certainly open to it. I think I set the agenda up in a fashion that you would be able to take action if you chose.
Mayor, we don't have to have action today.
Right.
We wanted to introduce the issue to you, allow you to have time to think about it, and also point out that if you think, what we're thinking is that you're probably going to lean toward that fourth bullet point that doesn't affect the ratepayers on the rate side. And if you're leaning in that direction, we need to begin working with the utilities folks on where can they draw the line on capital projects, what are they going to need to finish out what they've got started, and what kind of effective solution can we bring, and what kind of time frame can we bring it in.
Or we can do it with motion, or we can do it with consensus. I would fall in the last category. I don't know how
I want
council
time
feels.
to study it, maybe until next month.
Yeah, I think I'm agreeing with you. I think we just need to do it by consensus, and but I do think that the city staff needs to start looking at that last item and basically all other items, but the two primary ones would be the last one, and then explore further possibilities of reduction of expenditures, and just have a sort of a game plan or battle plan for everybody to consider and think about and be mulling over the next couple of months. If we don't get any runoff this spring, then we're going to need to be moving cautiously but expeditiously to think about which ones of these items that we're going to have to put in place if we don't get any rain in the fall, the way I see it.
Don, how do you feel about it, sir?
I agree with you two. I'm kind of scared.
Okay. Charlotte, you'll agree, or you want to?
I'll agree.
You're uncertain, aren't you? We are all uncertain. What you think, Johnny?
Yeah, I'm falling right in line with you guys. I think my one concern, did I read that we used more water this last time than we did last year? Like almost 4 million gallons more. So if this isn't an eye-opener for the folks out there using the water or abusing the water, I don't know what else is. We've talked about penalizing, and, we talked about the drought levels and all, and nothing seems to,
It can't be said any plainer. We're in a serious position here, and it's all of us.
So I'm with you guys. Yeah, those ideas are great. Just
Mr.
take it
Self?
one month at a time.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to have to move in the direction of number 4.
Okay.
And just hopefully it won't kill us right now.
Rodney?
Well, I agree with them. The one thing that I'm really nervous about now is we're going to be talking about the Red Arroyo project this next time, and I'm wondering, when we're talking about money and everybody's worried about not having money for what we're doing right now, and then we're talking about a big project like that, which is $22 million, where we're going to get that money from and how we're going to pay for that. I hate to say this, but I think we are going to have to raise rates, and I think that it's going to come to that. And Dwayne said it perfectly. People are not taking this seriously. Everybody, and I think it's because we've been at 15 and a half months now for 6 months?
6 months.
7 months probably. We've stayed the same, and everybody thinks, well, it's just going to stay there. Well, it's not going to just stay there. And we are going to keep going down. We're going down. The lake is going down 1% basically a week. So if we don't get a lot of rain and fast, we're going to be in trouble. And I just can't say it enough that people need to start worrying about the water. Worry about the water.
Praying about the water.
Yes, please God.
Let's push this down the road for a couple of months and look at the last one. That's kind of the consensus. Is that all right, Tina?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, ma'am.
Will
Thank
do.
you.
Mayor,
Thank
can
you.
I close with, a couple of years ago, we actually hit drought stage 3.
Yes, we did.
Between Tina and Ricky Dixon, they have done more planning so far this year. We're not even there yet. They've done more planning on the financial and operational side to try to deal with this issue than we did a couple of years ago. So big thanks to them for their efforts here.
Well, we're all in this together.
That's right.
Every one of us is going
Amen.
to live or die with this water. So I think it's important that we all understand the severity of this and how very dire a situation is. But let's push this down the road for a couple of months, and we can look at it again. If we feel then we need some increases in water, or if we can pull capital, then we'll make the decision then.
Okay.
Maybe it'll rain.
All right.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you.
Number 22 is discussion of designating 2 council members to serve on the Solid Waste Request for Proposal Selection Committee. I have had Rodney has said he wanted to be on the board. Marty said he wanted to be on the board. Johnny said he wanted to be on the board. Anybody down here want to be on the board?
Well, I do too, but
Charlotte wants to be on the board.
I have
There's
a
4.
question.
I don't want to be on
You don't. I don't want to be on the board. How about you, Winky? You want to be on the board?
Not particularly, but I would serve if I need to. But I have an objection to having a board in and of itself. I think the presentation should be made to the whole council. This is too important an item for all the council people not to hear the issues, and I'm willing to take the time.
I'm inclined to agree with that.
I agree.
With the process, we formed the committee first to root out the best 2 or 3, listen to the proposals, and then bring a proposal back to the entire council. We can, if we need to, and it's up to council, and if y'all wish, the committee can narrow it down to the top 2 or 3 and then bring those top 2 or 3 proponents that the committee feels are the best proponents that provide the best value to the city with their proposals, bring them and let them address the entire council and their proposals all at once, if y'all so choose, and then we can back up and go from there to select which one the council feels most suited with. There are multiple ways to do this. Our typical avenue is to form a committee with staff, and one that is this important and that does have the potential to be such a large asset for the city. That's why we did want to have council members represented on this selection committee, because it is that important. So,
How many meetings do you think that the committee would have to meet? How many times will they have to meet to digest this information?
we would what we're proposing, because our time constraints are fairly limited, is that we would meet once or twice the week of March 17th through the 20th, once or twice, to actually mull down and really go through the proposals. Of course, everybody would get a proposal a lot sooner than that. All the proposals, a copy of them, as far as the committee members, be able to start mulling through and go through. The committee would meet the first time, answer any questions, kind of go through, make a preliminary decision or cut to get the top 2 or 3 out, and then really start mulling and working through the numbers, looking through the proposals to actually see which ones, all the pros, all the cons of each proposal, and really weigh through. And it'd probably meet twice then, at least twice then, and then we would bring in, normally in that situation, once we've kind of gone through the initial phase of it, we would bring in the proponents' top 2 or 3 that we think provide the best benefits for the city, and actually hold an interview process where there's a lot more direct one-on-one, where you really work through all the details of the proposal and what each proposer can bring to the table. And then from there, you normally have another meeting with the committee in typical proposal format, to actually have that committee make a proposal to bring to the council for the selection of the proponent's plan that provides the best value to the city at that point. So that's the typical process of how it works.
Charlotte?
Well, I picked up a copy of the RFP yesterday because I want to look at it and read it and digest what we're requesting, what we're asking for, so that when I hear their proposals, I can know how much they stayed, within the guidelines. This is something that's very important and that we're going to have to live with for the next 20, 30 years. And I, as a council member who had been here, like Dwayne has, I've been here 9 years, I want to hear from all of them. Now, you only sent out 7. And if you have even a 50% participation from the 7 that you sent out, that's going to narrow it down to 4 or 3 right there. And I, as a council member, am willing to listen to all of those if necessary to get through this. This is too important to me to assign down to a committee who might not see the things that I see as important. So I want to hear the whole thing. And I don't see a need for a committee.
I'm inclined to agree with that.
Yeah, I think even if it's a special meeting somewhere,
Or even
along
2
the line.
special meetings.
Right.
Yeah.
For us to spend the time on it.
Because our citizens, and I lived through this back in 2003 when we tried changing the trash pickup once before. I remember what this is about.
Citizens will participate. They'll come to the meeting.
Citizens do have an opinion on this.
No, definitely.
And they do express it.
Yep.
In emails, phones, in person, letters, threats.
And they're going to be, and like, again, no action will be done. And even if the committee brings back a recommendation to, in the normal process of a proposal process, to, if the committee meets, goes through, sorts out, again, we can do it multiple ways. I don't know that you would want to, because there's going to be different levels of responses from different vendors. And we don't, like I said, we don't necessarily know who is going to provide a response for this.
Right, and with 6 people wanting to be on the committee, that pretty much throws out a committee.
I'd like to have a special meeting and have you bring all the proposals and let's go over them.
I agree.
Okay.
Let us all look at them, and then if we decide at that time, after we pick several proposals, if at that time we decide we want a committee to refine these, then we can choose a committee at that time.
Okay.
I so move.
Second.
We do
We-
not,
We do have a motion, we do have a second, that we just listen to this as a council, and if it takes an extra couple of special meetings, I'm with Winky. I think it's important enough that we take the time.
And this may be one of those that'd be good to have in the evening,
It
so
would really be
everybody
us.
could
But
Well,
they
come and take part in it.
And going through, now, as we go through these proposals, these proposals are actually going to be confidential until we make a recommendation to the council.
Oh.
Because there's proprietary information in them. So we would have to meet in executive session to go through them, and it wouldn't be open to the public as far as going through the proposals until we get to the point, after we get through negotiating the contracts, and then we can bring it out into the public. But we can't open this up until after we've actually gone through and started.
So the
working
first
through it.
meeting then would be an executive meeting between us, just to hear the
Yes,
proposals?
we would get all the proposals, we'd get all y'all in the same room, and we would sit down and we would work through all the proposals together and let y'all go through all of them and sort them out. And then once y'all narrow them down, we can make a decision from there whether y'all want to bring in each one of the proponents that y'all feel are qualified to do so, bring them in, and they can make a presentation to council in an executive session.
sounds good.
That's the way I'd like to do it. Is that, Winky, does your motion fit that?
Yeah, well, it is starting out, all the council members will hear the
Yes.
proposals.
Yes, sir. Had a motion, we've had a second. Do we have any other further comment on this? Motion has been made that the entire council hear the proposals and that we are able to go through them as a council to look at them. It will be in an executive session, and then we will make the determination then if we go to a committee or if we carry on
Okay.
and take it to.
That'll
Any
be fine.
public comment on this? Robert, do you have anything to talk about, sir? Okay.
One thing I
Anybody-
would, one thing else.
You boys okay? Riley's? Okay.
One thing I would like to, as far as council's knowledge, we will get y'all a copy, all of y'all a copy of the proposal that we sent out, of just the base proposal that we sent out. And, but I want to also make sure that everybody realizes that we do have a restriction on communications clause in this one, to where that none, council or staff, only Roger Banks is allowed to visit with all the proponents. So, please don't, talk back and forth about this. Now, if you want to gripe about service or something else, that's fine, but like I said, just don't talk about this.
Very
We're all good.
sensitive. It's very confidential. Okay.
On or before Friday, we can have those.
Yes, sir. I will try to get you one tomorrow.
I picked up mine. I've got mine.
Shane,
And
are you
actually,
talking
I've got
about amongst
two-
one another, or amongst this body? Is that what you're saying? To talk
Talk, yeah, the proponents
with the
cannot.
proponents or us or
Proponents cannot talk to
We can talk to
city
each other as
council.
long as
Yes.
it's not more than three.
Yes, no, that's fine, but as far as the proponents cannot talk to y'all anything about the proposal itself,
Okay.
to y'all or staff, either one. So all questions have to be directed through Roger Banks.
Very good.
Thank you.
No further comment. I'm going to call for the vote on this. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Drop a 7-0 on that one. Now, we've already done 23. We got 24. Presentation on the new city website. Anthony? Talk to us, buddy.
Okay.
Zip, he's done.
It's awesome. Bye.
You get pushed just like Morgan.
Well, I'm going to try to get through this quickly, but I do want you to have a chance to look at this, in particular our viewing audience on SATV, because the city website's obviously important to who we are and what we do and how we communicate with the public. And as you will recall, the council previously approved a contract with Vision Internet, and Vision worked with a team of 4 city employees that included myself and Brian Groves from Public Information, AJ Deerdorf and Jade Bauckham from IT. And my 3 colleagues there just did a wonderful job. I can't brag enough about the job that they did. But in designing this website and structuring it and in organizing it, we tried to accomplish 4 main goals, and I'm going to talk about each one of those briefly. The first one is what I call navigability or user friendliness of the site. And one of the things that we've tried to do is we've tried to limit the number of clicks it takes to get to information, because the more clicks that a user has to employ, the less likely they are to stay on the site and continue on to the information that they're seeking. And so our previous site had a wealth of information, but sometimes it took 5 and 6 clicks to get to that information if you could even find it. And so we've limited the number of sub-pages on each of the department and division pages so that most of the information is congregated either on 1 or 2 sub-pages or on the main department and division page itself. So that's one of the things that we've tried to accomplish with this. You can see, and this was actually AJ's, AJ really pushed for this, is we have what we call mega menus. So instead of it being just one long menu all the way down the screen, you can access all of the menu right here. So that makes the navigability of this site a little easier. And the same thing up here in this soft link at the very top of the screen. If you were to click that, this is one of our site maps. We also have it down at the bottom. Every page is on this website is indexed in alphabetical order so that you can get to whatever you want to that way as well. As I mentioned, every department and division within our organization has its own page. And the reason for that is twofold. One is it's not really intuitive, for instance, to think of Fort Concho as being a division under the Parks and Recreation umbrella. And so it's easier for people if they can pull up every department, every division here and get to where they want to go, that sort of way. The other reason is, and let me pull up just one of our sites. Let's say information technology. Now, we don't anticipate that the information technology page is going to generate a heck of a whole lot of traffic. But, and you'll see this template on every department and division page. Over here on the right-hand side, we have a sidebar of contact information that includes the physical address of that operation, their hours of operation, a telephone number, which you can see right here, which is clickable. So if you call this site up on your phone, you'll be able to click on that and call this number directly. And then your key contacts as well. And the reason for that is that, again, we don't think this particular page is going to generate a lot of traffic, but if you need to get in touch with information technology, this is an easy way to go about contacting them. Back on the home page, here on the right-hand side, you're going to see 5 buttons that we think are of particular interest and value to our users. And so, for instance, when you click on Make a Payment, it will take you to a page where you can access paying your water bill online, or, you know, heaven forbid you should get a speeding ticket, but you can pay that online. And we're working with John Eads, our IT manager, and Mary Cleveland, our billing and receipts manager, in order to find more ways that we can accept more payments, people who are conducting business with the city via the website. And we're going to be rolling each one of those out as we get to them. You'll be able to start the process of adopting your pet online, and you can do that via an online form. We've created a lot of online forms for things like adopting your pet, getting your building permit, getting your health permit, at least getting the ball rolling online with a lot of those processes to make it a lot easier for people. And they can do that via an online form or a writable PDF on a lot of these pages. You know, obviously still applying for a job, here's where you can find a lot of those online forms for getting a permit, and then watching a meeting. So you can click on this site and you can be watching this meeting live as it's occurring, or you can watch what's happening on SATV at the moment. So we think that helps with the navigability and user friendliness of the site. And then lastly is there is a consistency in our page templates that we lacked previously. And let's just pick the, tell you what, let's pick the fire department, for instance. And the fire department is on our site for the first time. Previously, the fire department had its own site. But you will see that this sort of template is used on every single page. Again, that helps the reader or the user know where the information is that they're looking. One of the things that drove me nuts about the predecessor of this site is every page looked different because every single department and division just did whatever they wanted to with their web page, and there was no consistency throughout the site. And I would contend that there's no corporate website that's like that. You know, there has to be a consistency on it so that people are branding this with your organization. So the first thing that we tried to achieve was navigability. The second thing is we want this site obviously to be informative. And again, the predecessor of this website had a wealth of information. I would almost say it was an avalanche of information that tended to overwhelm the users. And so we've worked with department managers and directors to ensure that we have just the right amount of information here, so that, as I've told our planners and our engineers and our stormwater people, you know, the citizen doesn't need to know everything that you need to know about your area of expertise. And so we try to provide information that people want and need without overwhelming them with information. And again, there's plenty of places to get contact information if you're wanting to ask more questions about that. Again, the contacts on this site are very easy to find. You can find them right up here at the top. And Jade Bauckham and IT developed this directory, but every single employee who has an email address within the city can be accessed here either alphabetically or by their division right here, or next to it by their department. So this site uses a lot of filtering that help people navigate the site. And then lastly, you know, one of the things that we've tried to do in order to help the citizen is, I would say 3/4 of the calls that we get in the public information office are questions that are not even city related. I mean, they're for services that are the county or the state or even the federal government. So you'll be able to find on this site, one of the common questions we get is, where do I go to get a birth certificate or a marriage license or a death certificate? So we have sites on this site, particularly under this link right here at the top of the page, the How Do I site, where you can register or sign up. So you can go click on that and learn where you can go to get your marriage license, to get your birth certificate, to get your death certificate. So we're trying to stem some of those phone calls, help people out, and send them where they need to go in order to get their information. So we try to be as informative as possible. We've also tried, per the council directive, to be more interactive with this site and to conduct more business online. And you saw some of that on that homepage, where people are going to be able to fill out more forms online in order to conduct their city business. In fact, yesterday we created a form so people can submit their capital improvement plan input via the website. So hopefully we'll get good turnout at the forum, but you don't have to come to the forum necessarily in order to provide us some input on what you think the capital priorities should be for the organization. I mentioned about the homepage buttons and these How Do I buttons. Again, you know, we're hoping people will use these in order to conduct more of their city business. And again, I mentioned about the filters. And I got to show you this one because it's really quick, but it's really cool. If you go down here to neighborhood parks, and Brian Groves created this, is you can find a listing of all the neighborhood parks, but you can filter it by amenity. So let's say you want all the parks that have a boat ramp. And of course, for some reason right now, we've lost our connectivity.
We've shut the.
I watched you on TV.
Yeah, but there it is. So there's there's all the parks with all the boat ramps. Let's just click on this one here at random. This is Bell Park, and you can see it has an address and all the other amenities on it. So you can do this not only with our park listing, but calendar events. So if you wanted to go to our city calendar and find where all the board and commission meetings are, or all the recreation events, or all the Fort Concho events, you can use these filters in order to find that on your calendars and on your news events. And those are widgets that we have on many of the pages, but most prominently down here on the home page. And you can see we have boxes for Parks and Recreation, because we think that's a high interest, high value link for our users, and for all things water right here. And here are your calendar events, and you could click there and you'll get the whole month's worth of events. And here's the latest news, and you can see the top 3 things that we've posted most recently as far as news goes. So we've tried to make this a lot more interactive. Even for our bidders, there's a special page on our purchasing page where they can get all the information that they want about bidding in one fell swoop. Lastly, we wanted this website to be aesthetically pleasing. You know, when you go to Google and you Google San Angelo, Texas, the very first link that you're going to find is the City of San Angelo's website. And as I wrote about in the newspaper last week, you know, I hearkened back to the shampoo commercial of my youth about you only get one chance to make, or you don't get a second chance to make a good first impression. And we want this site to be a good first impression for people who are considering moving to San Angelo, relocating their business here, coming and touring here. So you can see the color scheme. You know, previously the prior website had earth tone color schemes. This has blue, yellow, and green because those are the colors of the city seal, and they communicate a vibrancy, an energy, and a life about our community. You can see the pictures here are not static like they were on the previous site. They scroll through things that are topical issues right now, and you can click on them and get more information about whatever it is that that picture is depicting. You can find those pictures on the interior pages as well. And again, there's a corporate consistency to the site that makes it, I think, more attractive. At no point, wherever you go on the site, are you going to be wondering, am I still on the city's site or not? You know, because there is that sort of consistency. So with that, I just, I'll just say that the response to this has been both fabulous internally and within the community thus far, but we know that this site is not a finished product. Websites are not meant to be static, and so we are asking the public and you guys to please let us know what works, what doesn't work, where can we improve on it, and we're going to be working in order to do that. With that, I'll take any questions you might have.
I've got a quick one. Anthony, what is the residence link all about? And then show us how fast people, constituents can find us under government.
Okay, very good. Well, the residence thing, and this was, again, another brainchild of A.J. Deerdorf. Is he here? Yeah, A.J. is back in the back of the room. So there's A.J. But he thought that we needed something both for residents and visitors where they could go and get information that is particular to residents. So you know, we have links about San Angelo. It has some of our history. We have a listing of annual events in our community. If you need to go to, you know, pay your traffic ticket, there's, you know, a link to the municipal court. Here are outdoor watering restrictions right there on that site. So that's what the residents site is about. Go up here to government, and you can see, you can click on city council right there. And our city clerk, Alicia Ramirez, is the one who's sort of riding herd over this page. But you can see that we have nice photos and lots of contact information about it. You can see this is helpful to find out exactly who your city council representative is. And in fact, here's a map to that right there. Here is a YouTube playlist of past city council meetings. And of course, right up here, we have the agendas, minutes, and background presentations for the 2014 meetings. So you can see we have 2013, 2012. People have been asking me, well, you know, how come you don't have more on there? Well, it takes a lot of time and effort and energy in order to load all of that information onto this site. And frankly, it was just too much for our two-person public information office. So we're slowly sort of building that archives again.
Anthony, we sure appreciate your work.
Thank you, buddy.
Good job.
Thank you.
Let's move on to number 25, consideration, possible action on matters discussed in executive closed session if needed. There was nothing that was discussed that needs further action, so that we can move on. Number 26, consideration of approving various board nominations of the council designated council members. Fort Conchoil Board, Amber Smith, SMD 1, to an unexpired term, January 2015. Planning Commission, Valerie Priest, Mayor, to a first full term, January 2017. Zoning Board of Adjustment, Jim Turner, Mayor, to a first full term, January 2016. May I have a...
Move to approve as submitted.
Second. We do have a motion to approve. It has been seconded for the council. Public comment? Call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Put a 7-0 on that one. Announcements and consideration of future agenda items. Charlotte.
Mr. Kelton, I had asked you to check on a traffic complaint on Old Post, and I got a follow-up just today during council from the gentleman. He's still waiting. I believe you were waiting for a traffic report, and I would like for you to send me a follow-up that you've given him some sort of answer. And The other thing I've got is the trash. I know it's been windy and whatnot, but right there on Sherwood Way at Southwest Boulevard, the Arroyo, especially between Sherwood and the Loop. There's a lot of construction, commercial construction, and the wrapping papers from all of the supplies is just hanging in the mesquite trees and just aligning the Arroyo really bad. If we could get someone to look at that, I would appreciate it.
We'll do that. Anyone else?
Yep. Yes.
Don?
I think this is the 5th or 6th time I've asked for a night meeting about, okay.
Let's just do it. If everybody can't be there, they can't be there.
As long as we have a majority, let's do it.
Well, how about February 27th?
That's my birthday.
Even
Well,
better.
happy birthday, Don.
We'll have cake.
We'll have a marching band here then.
I have the Republican Party.
Well, tough. You won't be here.
Can you
I
get
won't be
six?
here.
Can
I
we
won't
get
be
6
here.
of us here?
Do we have 6 members available on the 27th?
I can be here.
If Don's
Are
not
you
gonna-
serious,
Don
Don?
wanted to ask
Don
for
wants
this.
it. I mean,
yeah, I don't want to do it on the day Don can be
I
here.
do.
He's turning red now.
Yeah, I got it now.
I have a comeback for that.
Is this in addition to a regular monthly meeting, or?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. What I was trying to do is to get stormwater, half-cent sales tax, some of those sort of things on there, have it at the evening meeting so that we can talk about those sort of things, capital improvement if necessary. Probably not, since we're working through that one already, where we can have it and discuss it in the evening.
How
Okay.
about March 6th? Is it Thursday?
Yep.
I don't have a problem with it.
That's my birthday.
Motion to adjourn.
No, hold on.
March 6th. Let's see what we have there.
She needs a second.
We can do
I've got-
March
I've got
11th,
a-
March
I've got
6th.
things.
February
You can?
29th?
No, I can do March.
You can do March 6th?
Yeah, I was just saying, hold on, don't do the motion to adjourn. I've still got some
Oh.
issues.
March 6th works for me.
March 6th.
Silvers?
Yes.
Marty? Winky?
Okay, I
Don?
was,
Charlotte?
Yes.
Okay.
great.
This is a night meeting?
Yes, sir.
5 o'clock, 5:30? What'd we
I
do?
predict the wind and the rain will blow us away.
Good.
5:30?
5:30, City Council. Anybody else have anything to add?
Yes.
Who said first? John or Marty?
No.
Rodney?
One thing, Ricky, I talked to you guys about, or one of your guys over there about Robin Hood, and they said they were going to look at that. The septic keeps backing up over there on, there's like 4 or 5 houses in the middle where it's low there. And I think y'all were going to run a camera or something down through there. Can you give us an update on that, or just give me an update? It doesn't have to be before the full council of what's going on and what our plan is over there. Thank you. And then the next thing, I would like to know is there's any possibility of finding out how many, I know there is, how many fire hydrants permits have been issued in the last 2 years? How many commercial buildings have been issued, commercial building permits for commercial buildings in the last 2 years? I would like the number on both of those. And the last thing, well, two more actually. One, I'd like to bring up the light ordinance. We talked about that and how we can enforce it and how we can put more teeth into it. I have a couple of people that are in my district that are having serious problems with their neighbors, and I would like that to be on the next meeting as possible. They want it to be done before the spring and summer because they just can't enjoy outdoors, and I agree with them. What's that?
What kind of lights?
They're outdoor lights. They're floodlights, but
Floodlights.
these are lights that are encroaching on other people's property, and they can't go to sleep. They can't sit outside. There's 2 different locations, and if you drive by them, if anybody is interested, you drive by them and look at them at night, you would be, I would be very upset. I'd probably be out there shooting it out or something, but and they probably want to do that too. That they're not. We need to figure out how we can do this and help these people out and make sure this isn't a problem. I think it's becoming more of a problem, especially in my district. I'm getting a lot of big open fields that have the big, massive lights in them, and it's next door to a house. We need to work with the people that are there, the residents.
Let me
that are
guess,
already there.
Oak Christoval Road?
Oak Christoval Road. But actually, one of the main ones that has the most people complaining about it is out at the lake, and it's really bad.
Dwayne, I have one more.
Yes, sir.
One more.
Wait a minute.
Oh.
He's still rolling.
Oh, I'm
He's still
sorry.
rolling.
One more. I just want to make sure, I say this every time, I want the Royal Project. I talked to Ricky. He said he'll be ready for the next meeting. I want to make sure it's on the next meeting. I don't want to move it again.
Marty, you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Johnny?
Charlotte just reminded me of my request, and Shane can call me later on the Allen Street, the railroad crossing. Let me know what's going on there, please.
Mr. Vardaman.
Just to report, Mr. C and my project on the sidewalks, where are we on that? What's the progress? Something about it. I haven't heard anything about it in a long time.
Motion to adjourn.
Don, do you want an agenda item, or do you just want us to send you something? You want a Friday memo to go to all the council, or do you want to?
That'd be great.
You talking about 19th Street?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need the note, keep it going.
Yeah.
Winky.
On the next regular agenda in March, we're supposed to have the discussion and possible action having to do with the new zoning ordinance having to do with RV parks and other matters.
What was that?
We just set that off, pushed that off until,
Yeah,
what did we push that to?
till May.
May, wasn't it?
May.
We did extend the moratorium, but we do need to start having those discussions with council, because we'll need those new ordinances approved by the time the moratorium
For
expires.
us just to discuss, basically.
Okay, that's fine.
All right.
Charlotte scared me.
To adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are out of here.